Chapter 15:14. Emo Chuan patted the back of her hand and said with a faint smile, "You don't need to worry about this. Although our West Chu is only 3,000 miles away from South Yu, it is impossible for them to attack West Chu from this road. You haven't been at Songcheong Mountain before, so you don't know what that mountain is like. It is like a natural barrier that separates West Chu and South Yu. Not to mention the vast forest that no one can pass. Just this Songcheong Mountain alone. If one Xingong hasn't reached the peak, they will never be able to climb over it. No matter how strong the South Yu army is, it is impossible for them to train a team that can climb over Songcheong Mountain." "That's good. It seems like I was thinking too much. That's why when you heard that Chu Xiaoyang was heading south, you determined that he was going to South Yu?" Emo Chuan nodded and said, "I dare say that with Chu Xiaoyang's skills, it shouldn't be hard for him to jump over to Songcheong Mountain. After I received the news, I chased him all the way to the foot of the mountain, but I completely lost track of him. So he must have gone over the mountain. After going over Songcheong Mountain and that forest, he would be in the South Yu country. He must have planned this route a long time ago. I can even say that he has been planning this since the day I locked him up in the heavenly prison. He now has the quintuple crossbow blueprints, so no matter which country he goes to, East Chin or South Yu, he will be treated as a guest. Hey, it seems like I have to congratulate him. His future is limitless." Although he was smiling, his voice was filled with resentment. Chen Ning understood that what made him angry was not that Chu Xiaoyang stole the blueprints, but rather that Chu Xiaoyang would betray his country for glory. She finally understood where Emo Chuan had gone and where he was covered in dust. He must have been riding a horse for half a day and night, not even having the time to close his eyes. Looking at Emo Chuan's haggard face, she said in a soft voice, "Emo Chuan, you don't need to worry about it too much. It's a good thing you're on guard, and he only stole the 5 crossbow blueprints. You already know how to make 20 crossbows, so you don't need to worry about that blueprint. You don't understand. Although the 5 crossbow cannot compare to the 20 crossbow, if it falls into the hands of the South Yu country, it will greatly increase their military strength. If their army attacks us in the future, it will cause heavy casualties to our West Chu soldiers." Emo Chuan knit his brows and revealed a deep look of worry. Chen Ning knew that he cherished the lives of the soldiers, so she said, "I've already asked my master. He can understand the snow silk clothes and knows where to find the cold silkworms. You can be assured I will definitely weave the snow silk cloth before the South Yu nation makes the 5 link crossbows." Emo Chuan held her hand and looked at her as he said, "Ning-er, you're always so thoughtful for me, but I'm worried about something else. If Chu Xiaoyang really goes to the South Yu country, I'm afraid there will be a war in front of us." "What do you mean? Could it be that the South Yu country will immediately send their troops? Won't they wait until the 5 link crossbows are made? Won't they have a higher chance of winning like this?" Chen Ning asked in a surprised voice. Although she was smart, she didn't know anything about arranging troops or fighting a war. Emo Chuan shook his head and said, "They don't need to wait until the 5 link crossbows are made to have a chance of winning." Chapter 15:15. "That's right, it's Chu Xiaoyang." Emo Chuan said word for word. His deep black eyes looked right at her. "When you were in his palace, did you ever enter the little building in the Peach Blossom Cove?" Chen Ning thought about it and said, "I've been there twice. The peach blossoms there are very beautiful, but I've never entered the bamboo building. I've heard that it's Chu Xiaoyang's forbidden area and no one is allowed to enter. Could there be some secret mechanism hidden in the bamboo building?" Emo Chuan shook his head and said, "There isn't any secret mechanism. If you've entered the bamboo building, you'll know that there are various weapons he's collected over the years and countless military books. Chu Xiaoyang likes to read military books the most, so he often arranges troops in the bamboo house and practices arrays. You probably don't know about this, right?" Chen Ning shook her head in a daze and said, "I don't know." She indeed didn't know. When she lived in the Duke Ning Palace, she never cared about Chu Xiaoyang. She didn't know what he liked or what he hated. Oh, the only thing she knew at the time was that the person he hated was her and the person he liked was Chun Baiyun. The past suddenly filled her mind, and she realized that Chu Xiaoyang was actually a stranger to her. She had never understood him for a single day. In the depths of her memories, there was only Mo Chuan and not a single trace of Chu Xiaoyang. Chu Xiaoyang is proficient in the art of war. Ever since the previous emperor, who is his royal father, was taken hostage by the East Qin country, he began to study the art of war. He had a wish in his heart, and that was to one day lead the West Chu army to break through the East Qin capital and save his royal father. In these 10 years, he has been studying day and night and practicing martial arts, but he has never had this kind of opportunity. Thinking about how my West Chu has always been suppressed by East Qin and the yearly tribute has consumed most of the country's resources, we don't have the ability to train soldiers at all. The only thing I can do is give this country and the citizens a few more years of peace. I know that Chu Xiaoyang is ambitious, so I've been suppressing him, not giving him a chance to lead troops, but that doesn't mean I don't know how strong he is. He is a sharp treasured sword, and I want him to learn how to hide his strength. One day, I will definitely fulfill his wish, but I never would have thought that he wouldn't wait for that day. Once he joins the South Yu country, the first thing he will do is personally lead troops to attack my West Chu. Mo Chuan gritted his teeth and said this word at a time. No, Mo Chuan, Chu Xiaoyang won't do that. Chen Ning instinctively shook her head. Chu Xiaoyang was arrogant, unruly, ruthless, and cruel. Although he wasn't considered a good person, she knew that Chu Xiaoyang had a bottom line in his heart. West Chu was his country, and he wouldn't betray his country just because Mo Chuan wronged him. Then he would lead the enemy's army to attack his own country. That was impossible. He won't. How about we wait and see? Mo Chuan curled his lips and revealed a sarcastic smile. Chen Ning looked at him in a daze, still not daring to believe this news. Before long, you'll know the answer, Mo Chuan said. Chapter 15-16. Mo Chuan looked up at the sky outside. He stood up and began to put on his court clothes. Are you going to court? She also sat up and helped him put on his clothes, fixing his sleeves. Although her heart ached that he hadn't slept all night, she knew that he was worried about the country, so he didn't have time to rest. He nodded. If Chu Xiaoyang really defected to South Yu like I expected, then in less than 10 days, South Yu will invade my West Chu. I need to make preparations early, otherwise we won't be caught off guard. Chen Ning bit her lips. Does the Empress Dowager know of this matter? I've already given the order. I don't want to tell Mother about this matter for now, otherwise she'll be worried. If she knows of this matter, I'm afraid it will cause another storm. Mo Chuan stroked her hair and said in a low voice, You should sleep a bit more. I'll have people guard outside the palace and won't let anyone disturb your rest. She gave a slight nod and sent Mo Chuan away. When she returned to her room, thinking of Mo Chuan's words, how could she still sleep? Xiaoru, Xiaoru, she called out twice. Xiaoru came in from outside with an excited smile on her face. Young miss, what did you call this servant for? She revealed a smile that revealed her snow-white teeth. Even if Chen Ning was filled with worries, seeing Xiaoru's bright smile, she couldn't help smiling back at her. What are you busy with? What's making you this happy? Xiaoru said with a smile. I'm helping the young miss organize things. The emperor said that the young miss will be going with the divine Dr. Gu to the godly Dr. Valley to study medicine tomorrow and won't be coming back for a year, so I have to prepare a lot of things. That's right, the emperor just sent people over to bring a lot of food and clothing, all piled up in a yard. When a young miss wakes up, you can go take a look and bring whatever you like. Since the young miss is awake, let's go take a look. There are so many things, this servant's eyes are going blurry. I think this is good, that is good, but we can't bring all these things. Chen Ning was stunned. She looked up at her. You want to go to the godly Dr. Valley with me? That's right. The emperor said that I have to stay by the young miss' side to take care of you. The emperor also said that if I don't take good care of you and you become thin or sick, he will fiercely lecture me when we return to the palace. Young miss, the emperor is really caring and caring for you. He is really good. Mo Chuan. Chen Ning couldn't help feeling a warm feeling fill her heart. There were many complicated matters in the court, and adding in Chu Xiaoyang's matter, he was so busy that he didn't even have time to sleep. But in his heart, he was still thinking about her matter. He had thought of everything for her and prepared so many things for her. Mo Chuan. Ah, Mo Chuan. Can't wait to send me away? Mo Chuan. Was it because West Chu was facing a crisis and wouldn't be peaceful soon? Chased Mo Chuan. Oh, I said I will you. But you're always thinking of me. Could it be that in your heart, you're really willing to let me leave? She abruptly stood up and walked out. Chapter 15-17. Chen Ning left the Guan Yu Palace without looking back, heading straight for the royal study. Greetings to the Empress. When the guards outside the royal study saw her, they all bowed down. The Emperor isn't here yet. She saw that the door to the royal study was open and there was no one inside. Reporting to the Empress, the Emperor hasn't left court yet. Then this consort will go in and wait for the Emperor to leave court. Chen Ning walked in and arrived in front of the imperial desk. She saw a neat row of memorials on the right. She opened one and saw a few lines of small words written in red, which was Mo Chuan's handwriting. She put down the memorial and opened another one, finding that it was also written by Mo Chuan. There were at least 50-60 memorials on the table, and just reading them would take a lot of time. Adding in the annotations, it was unknown how much time and effort Mo Chuan had spent on this desk. No wonder he would only return to the palace late at night. No wonder every time she saw him, his eyes were filled with a faint fatigue. Although he hid it very well, it could not escape her eyes. Seeing the memorials on the table, she felt her heart ache for him. There was still Chu Xiaobai who could help him with his problems before, but now Chu Xiaobai had left. Chu Xiaoyang had betrayed the country, and she was leaving tomorrow. After she left, this country's matters would all fall on his shoulders. There was no one to share it with, and he had no one to talk to. Her eyes unknowingly became wet, and her vision became blurry. It was as if she could see his lonely figure sitting in front of the desk reading memorials, with only a single lamp accompanying him. If it was really as Mo Chuan expected and Chu Xiaoyang surrendered to South Yu would attack West Chu. Then West Chu would face an unprecedented crisis. There were wolves in front and tigers in the back. Once South Yu attacked, would East Qin take this chance to join forces with South Yu and divide West Chu among themselves? She did not know any of this. In this kind of dangerous situation, how could the West Chu Empress beside her stay out of this and hide in the Miracle Physician Valley to live a peaceful life? She could not do it. When she was married to Mo Chuan, she had made a vow that no matter what difficulties there were, she would bear it with him. Chen Ning suddenly made her decision. She did not wait for Mo Chuan to leave court and walked out of the royal palace, heading straight for Dr. Zhang's palace. Before the sedan chair, she was arrived in front of Dr. Zhang's palace. She suddenly heard a clamor in front of her as the sedan bearers stopped the sedan chair. Reporting to Master, there are many commoners blocking the way, so our sedan chair can't pass. The sedan chair bearer reported in a low voice. Did something happen? Go and ask around. Chen Ning lifted the curtain and looked outside. She found that the road in front of her was filled with commoners. Everyone was standing on their tiptoes, like they were watching something. After a while, the sedan chair bearer came. Master, this servant has asked around. It is Zhao Rong Princess who is blocking Dr. Zhang's palace door, saying that she wants to compete with Dr. Gu. Dr. Gu did not show himself, and Zhao Rong Princess is blocking the door, not letting Dr. Zhang's people in. Now the citizens are blocking the entire alley, so our sedan can't pass no matter what. Zhao Rong Princess wants to compete with my teacher. Chapter 15-18. It's not a medical competition. I've heard it's a competition of martial arts. Competing in martial arts? Chen Ning's eyes instantly popped out. She opened the curtain and walked out. Wait here, I'll go take a look. This Zhao Rong Princess was really too arrogant. She was actually finding someone who didn't know martial arts to compete in martial arts. If this wasn't bullying others too much, then what was it? She could not let her master suffer this kind of loss. Master, you can't do this. There are many people here, and we don't have enough people. I'm afraid we won't be able to protect Master's safety. You can be assured nothing will happen to me. Chun Ning squeezed into the crowd in a few steps and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The four bearers quickly followed, but there were too many people watching. They squeezed through the crowd, but they couldn't find Chun Ning. They were so anxious that they began to sweat. Although Chun Ning didn't know martial arts, she had practiced self-defense. Her body was strong and she was wearing the snow silk clothes, so she moved through the crowd. She was very agile and quickly arrived in the middle of the crowd. She squeezed to the front and immediately saw the Zhao Rong princess. The Zhao Rong princess was leading a group of guards, proudly standing in front of Dr. Zhang's door. She was commanding the guards to guard the door. Keep a close eye on me. Don't even let a fly in, let alone let it out. If Gu Qingze still refuses to come out and compete with me, then no one in this room will be able to leave. Come out one, kill one. Come out two, kill a pair. Yes, princess. The guards loudly shouted as they held the blades on their waists. Like wolves and tigers, they chased away the people watching by Dr. Zhang's door, creating a large space. Dr. Zhang rushed over after hearing the news. Seeing this scene, he was so angry that his white beard was raised. Presumptuous, this is too presumptuous. He walked forward with large steps. Stop. If you take another step forward, the princess has orders to kill without mercy. The guards raised their blades and blocked Dr. Zhang's path. Don't worry, I'll kill you. Dr. Zhang's body trembled with anger as he said to the Zhao Rong princess, Princess, you've brought people to this old man's palace. Is this an order from the emperor? How could the Zhao Rong princess put a doctor in her eyes? She arrogantly said, This princess has orders from my father, Duke Ning, to come and compete with that surnamed Gu. If he wins, my father will betroth this princess to him. But if he loses, he will immediately scram out of the capital and never take a step into the capital again. What? What did you say? Dr. Zhang's eyes popped open in shock, almost not daring to believe his ears. You're old and deaf. Can't you hear clearly? Fine, I'll repeat it for you. Hurry up and ask Ushijo to come out and have a duel with me. If he wins, he can marry me. If he loses, he has to get lost. Zhao Rong princess placed her hands on her hips and arrogantly said. Dr. Zhang had seen many ridiculous things in his life, but he felt that there was nothing more ridiculous than what Zhao Rong region princess had said. The divine Dr. Gu was a godlike person. How could this unruly and unreasonable Zhao Rong princess be worthy of him? She wanted to compete with the divine Dr. Gu in martial arts, but how could the divine Dr. Gu know martial arts? She had clearly made a fool of herself in the palace that day, and her dream of marrying the emperor was shattered. So she had ideas on the divine Dr. Gu. She wanted to marry the divine Dr. Gu. Chapter 1519. Princess, the divine Dr. Gu doesn't know martial arts. Even if you don't know, the Duke should know. Why we give this order? Do you have the Duke's order? Dr. Zhang gave an angry smile as he coldly said, How presumptuous! Could be you don't believe this princess' words? Do you think this princess will like that country bumpkin? Is he worthy of marrying this princess? I came here today to teach him a lesson and make him lose convincingly. If he loses, he will scram out of the capital city for this princess. Zhao Rong's princess fiercely shouted. Her fierce shout made Dr. Zhang's heart filled with joy. He thought that this would be easy to deal with. So this unruly princess didn't want to marry him. Then he would go report to the divine Dr. Gu and make him lose this match. This way, the princess wouldn't be entangled at the door. Since the divine Dr. Gu was prepared to leave the capital city, he could make peace with this matter. He made up his mind and said, Since it's like this, I asked the princess to wait a bit. This old man will go report to the divine Dr. Gu. Quickly, tell that country bumpkin, surnamed Gu, that this princess will wait for him here. If he doesn't come out, he can forget about ever taking a single step out of this door. Dr. Zhang gave a snort in his heart. He turned back into the palace and went to find Gu Qingze. Zhao Rong's princess took out the whip from her waist and gently slapped it in her hand. The corner of her eyes narrowed as she coldly looked at the surrounding citizens. Humph, what's so special about that surnamed Gu? Her father wanted to marry her to him. She wanted to make him lose a large amount of face in front of all the citizens and make him scram out of the capital city. She also wanted to shut her father's mouth, so her father would have to think of a way to marry her royal cousin. Her heart was filled with wishful thinking, and her lips couldn't help revealing a smile. This was because she didn't put Gu Qingze in her eyes at all. He was just a cripple that didn't know martial arts. Why would she be afraid of him? You, little slut. Why are you here? Suddenly, her smile disappeared and her expression changed. She stared at a person in the crowd and almost cried out in surprise. The person she was looking at was not anyone else. It was Chun Ning. Chun Ning revealed a faint smile at her and walked forward. Has the princess recovered from her illness? This awe-inspiring manner. Is she really putting on airs as a princess? Zhaorong's princess never would have dreamed that she would see Chun Ning here, so her expression kept changing. She was filled with hate and fear towards Chun Ning. She hated her to the bone, but she was afraid that Chun Ning would reveal the shameful things she had done in the palace. If that happened, she would be too ashamed to show her face. Seeing her expression, Chun Ning could guess what was on her mind. With a faint smile, she said, "You don't need to worry too much. I came here to visit my master, but I never thought that I would bump into this kind of matter. What, does the princess like my master? Are you preparing a martial competition to find husband? Since I'm here, I'll definitely take a look." Zhaorong region princess was stunned. What did she mean? Wasn't she stand on her master's side? Could it be that she wanted him to ruthlessly teach her master a lesson? She found that she couldn't understand Chun Ning's words at all. Chun Ning looked like she was watching from the side as she giggled and said, "Princess, you just said that if my master beats you, you will marry my master. Is that true?" Chapter 15:20. Chun Ning smiled and said, "Very good. Did everyone hear the princess' words clearly?" She raised her voice and asked the crowd. Everyone heard it clearly. We heard it clearly. Some of the busybodies who were watching the show responded loudly. The princess' face turned red and her heart was filled with hatred. She loudly said, "Humph, what do you mean by saying this? Do you think this princess will lose? If I win, your master will have to pack up and get lost. Whether you win or lose, we'll only know after the competition. It's not something that can be decided just by your words, your highness." Chun Ning smiled until her teeth could not be seen. Her heart had completely fallen into her stomach. This Zhaorong princess who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth wanted to compete with her master? Very good. Then she'll let her master see his skills. As for if Gu Qingze won, did she think she could marry him just because she wanted to? Chun Ning was not worried at all. She just wanted to watch the show. The princess was choked by Chun Ning until she couldn't speak. She knew that she couldn't beat Chun Ning with words, so she hatefully said, "You have a sharp tongue. What's the use of just talking? If you have the skills, then call your master out to compete with me. We'll see who's stronger." "All right, then I'll go in and ask my master to come out and compete with you. If my master wins, then I'll have a princess as my master's wife." Chun Ning smiled as she walked through the door. The princess was so angry that she almost spat out blood. Her face turned red and green. She felt like every word Chun Ning said was like a whip, slapping her face in pain. The surrounding people watching the show also began to laugh in low voices. Needless to say, they were laughing at her, laughing at a princess like her, running to someone else's house to compete for a spouse. This was no different from a street performer. Her face was burning from embarrassment, but she was already like an arrow on the bow. She could not leave. She had to wait for Gu Qingze to appear. If anyone dares to laugh again, this princess will cut off their dog head. The Princess Apricot eyes stared at the crowd as she shouted at the crowd. The surrounding people turned cold and instantly became silent. No one dared to make a single sound. The princess gave a satisfied snort. At least these people knew what was good for them. If they dared to go against her, she would definitely make them suffer. Chun Ning hadn't taken a few steps when she saw Dr. Zhang personally pushing Gu Qingze's chair over, slowly walking over. "Master." She came forward with a smile. Gu Qingze had an expressionless face as he looked over. He did not miss the smile on her face. He snappily said, "What are you doing here, girl?" Chunning blinked her eyes with a smile. "I came to visit Master, but I never thought that I would come across such a good show." "Is Master going to compete with Zhao Rong, Princess?" "Humph. You wish for the world to be in chaos. You want to see your master make a fool of himself, don't you?" Gu Qingzi said with a straight face. "Master, do you? Master, I you. But Master, tell me, do you want to lose or win this match? So what if I lose? So what if I win?" Chapter 1521. How could Gu Qingzi not know this? But hearing her say it again, he was filled with anger. He hatefully said, "That mad woman! Master, I heard that this was Duke Ning's idea. Yesterday, when Master went to his palace for a banquet, what did you do? How did you enter Duke Ning's eyes and make him recognize you as his son-in-law? Could it be that Master cured his strange illness?" Chen Ning's eyes turned, and her face was filled with curiosity. Gu Qingzi was filled with hatred. He really hated himself for being soft. He never thought that Duke Ning and the Zhao Rong princess would use this move and pester him endlessly. "Disciple, push your master out. Doesn't she want to compete with your master in martial arts? Then your master will compete with her," he coldly said. Chen Ning stuck out her tongue and said with a smile, "Is Master planning on losing to her on purpose? You think your master will lose?" Gu Qingzi looked at her. If it was a proper competition, Master wouldn't lose and would beat her until her teeth fell out. But if Master wins, you'll have to marry her. Could it be that Master likes her? She said in a meaningful tone. Gu Qingzi gave a pei sound. If you keep talking nonsense, your master will punish you by copying the medical scriptures 300 times. He did not wait for Chen Ning to help him push the wheelchair as he quickly turned it and quickly appeared in front of the palace gates. Outside the gates, the Zhao Rong princess was currently cracking the whip in her hand. She had a look of arrogance on her face. From the corner of her eyes, she saw Gu Qingzi and revealed a look of disdain. "Country bumpkin surnamed Gu, you finally come out." Gu Qingzi expressionlessly looked at her and coldly said, "How do you want to compete?" The Zhao Rong princess looked at Chen Ning, who was standing behind him, and slapped the whip in her hand. "Your disciple must have already told you the rules of the competition. As for the method of the competition, it's very simple. We'll have a fair and square competition and see who wins and who loses." "All right." Gu Qingzi only said a single word before closing his mouth. The surrounding citizens saw Gu Qingzi sitting in the wheelchair and couldn't help whispering to each other, "Wow, Her Royal Highness has taken a fancy to a cripple. Isn't this clearly bullying people? Who doesn't know how strong the princess martial arts is? She actually wants to compete with a cripple? That's right. Even if she wins, it would be an unfair victory. That's not certain. I think the princess will lose on purpose. If she loses, she can marry that young man." What is the reason? Why does Her Highness want to marry this unassuming cripple? This is a long story. Sure, now is not the time to talk about this. Let's watch the show first. Although the crowd had lowered their voices, Zhao Rong Regent Princess could still hear some of the discussion. She was so angry that her face turned ashen. Her heart was filled with waves of guilt. She thought to herself, could it be that the scandal she made in the palace that day had already spread throughout the capital? In the end, it was all that this country bumpkin Gu's fault. If it wasn't for him giving her such a bad idea, she wouldn't have made a fool of herself in front of everyone. Her heart was filled with extreme hatred towards Gu Qingzi and Chen Ning, especially when she thought that as long as she won against Gu Qingzi, the other side would obediently scram. She had driven away the little slut's master, which was equal to slapping the little slut's face. Her heart was filled with joy. Chapter 1522. The Zhaorong princess raised her voice, letting the surrounding people hear her clearly. Gu Qingzi was too lazy to even look at her this time. He directly said to Chen Ning, "Disciple, count." Chen Ning looked at the Zhaorong princess. Her eyes fell onto the whip in her hand, and she revealed a faint smile. On the surface, the Zhaorong princess spoke very generously, and it seemed like the competition was very fair, but she was actually playing a trick. She deliberately stood 10 steps away from Gu Qingze and used a long whip as her weapon, while Gu Qingze was sitting on a chair. Once the competition began, she could use the whip to attack first. It was just that even though her calculations were brilliant, she was probably going to suffer a huge loss when she encountered Gu Qingze. Chen Ning did not explain and just nodded with a smile. Everyone held their breaths and opened their eyes wide. There were some people who couldn't help shaking their heads and sighing. They didn't want to watch this competition that they already knew the result before it even began. Everyone already thought that the Zhao Rong princess would definitely win. There was no need to even think about it. Dr. Zhang saw the way the Zhao Rong princess was waving her whip, and his heart turned cold. He was secretly worried for Gu Qingze. He took a step forward and whispered into Gu Qingze's ear, "Divine Dr. Gu, this old man has heard that the Zhao Rong princess has left the capital city for 3 years to learn martial arts. Since she dares to come here, her martial arts must be pretty good. Although your medical skills are high, if you compete in martial arts, I'm afraid you won't be a match for this princess. How about you just admit defeat? Since you're leaving the capital city tomorrow, you can give his princess a way out and send her away as soon as possible." Gu Qingze softly said, "You also think I will lose?" Dr. Zhang was tongue-tied, not knowing what to say. He thought in his heart, "I'm not the only one here who thinks this. Almost everyone else thinks this. Divine Dr. Gu, she's only a girl. If you win against her, it won't be anything glorious, but if you lose, it won't look good on your face. How about we not compete and just directly admit defeat? If you can't put down your face, this old man will explain to her that you are the #1 divine doctor, not the #1 expert. If the princess is not convinced, you can compare your medical skills with her. How about this?" Dr. Zhang said with a face of worry. He saw the killing intent on the Zhao Rong princess' face. He was afraid that she would not hold back. If she injured the divine doctor, it wouldn't be good. Before Gu Qingze had time to speak, Zhao Rong Junju had already raised her voice. With an impatient expression, she yelled, "Are you guys done dawdling? If you have anything to say, wait until the competition is over before you say it." This Junju is already impatient. "Surname Gu, are you blabbering your last words? Don't worry. For the sake of the bottle of medicine you gave me yesterday, I won't take your life. If you lose, pack up your things and get out of the capital city. I won't make things difficult for you anymore. Princess, what if you lose?" Chen Ning also raised her voice and said in a clear voice. Zhao Rong region princess raised her chin and proudly said, "I will not lose. Just wait and see your master beg for mercy after being beaten by me." Chen Ning smiled and said, "I think the one begging for mercy is not my master, but rather the princess consort. If you lose, you'll have to keep your promise and marry my master." Chen Ning smiled and said, "I think the one begging for mercy is not my master, but rather the princess. If you lose, you will have to keep your promise and marry my master." Chapter 1523. Chen Ning saw that Gu Qingze had used his true qi, so she did not dare joke around. She took a step back and said in a clear voice, "1, 2, 3. Just as the word 3 came out, the long whip in Zhao Rong Junju's hand immediately lashed out. She had been waiting for this moment. She channeled all the power in her body into her right arm. This whip was full of power. It danced in the air like a spirit snake, flying towards Gu Qingze's face. She wanted to show off her might in front of everyone. So this whip was merciless. It was not like she said she would be merciful. She was afraid that she didn't have enough strength, so she wanted to kill Gu Qingze on the spot. If this whip landed solidly, Gu Qingze's head would definitely be whipped until it split open. Everyone let out a surprised cry, and some people covered their faces, not bearing to watch. Divine Dr. Gu, quickly admit defeat. Dr. Zhang's heart was about to jump out of his chest as he shouted out in a hoarse voice. He saw that the snake-like whip was about to reach Gu Qingze's face, but Gu Qingze was sitting in the chair without moving, like he was scared stiff. He closed his eyes in fear, not daring to watch. When the Zhao Rong princess saw that she had succeeded, She couldn't help revealing a proud and fierce smile. She shouted, "Country bumpkin, go die." Guching's expression did not change, and his eyes did not even blink. He waited until the whip was about to touch his face before his right hand on the armrest gently pressed down. Everyone felt their eyes blur, and suddenly saw 3 long black ropes fly out from who knew where. One of them wrapped around the Zhao Rong princess whip with a schwa sound, and the other 2 black ropes were like 2 dragons dancing in the air, attacking the Zhao Rong princess. The Zhao Rong princess was shocked. She quickly waved her right arm, wanting to use the whip to block it, but who would have thought that she would not be able to move it? Her hand suddenly became empty, and the whip was taken away by the black rope. She wanted to dodge, but it was too late. With a schwa-schwa sound, the 2 black ropes hit her left and right knees. Then they were pulled back into the chair. The Zhaorong princess felt a sharp pain in her knees. Her knees went soft, and she fell to the ground with a putong sound. Gu Qingze coldly said, "The princess is bowing to this one in front of everyone. Are you begging for mercy?" This exchange was very fast, and it was very fast. In the blink of an eye, the crowd saw Princess Zhao Rong kneel in front of the young man sitting in the wheelchair, looking completely disgraced. The young man did not move at all from beginning to end. He did not even raise his pinky, but the Zhao Rong princess was already kneeling. People couldn't help but look at each other in dismay, suspecting that the scene before them was an illusion. Many people began to rub their eyes desperately. "Are my eyes playing tricks on me? Why do I see the princess kneeling?" "Your eye's right. The princess is kneeling." "Ah, that's impossible. I didn't see it." How this young man made a move. "It's precisely because I didn't see it that he's an expert." Everyone began to discuss spiritedly. They all looked at Gu Qingze with a kind of worship in their eyes. Look at him. He didn't even move his hands or his feet, yet he was able to make the princess kneel in front of him in an instant. This kind of martial arts was simply unheard of. Chapter 1524. You're using a demonic technique. You're not a human. You're a monster. The Zhao Rong princess calmed herself down and looked up. She stared at Gu Qingze and found that he was sitting in his chair with empty hands. But where were the 3 black ropes? Why did they suddenly appear and suddenly disappear? That's right, this was not a martial art. It had to be a demonic technique. She wanted to stand up, but as soon as she moved, she felt a sharp pain in her knees. She could not stand at all. Demonic technique? Gu Qingze gave a cold laugh. So what if it's a demonic technique? "Princess, you've lost." The Zhao Rong princess forcefully bit her lips, almost to the point of drawing blood. But in front of all these commoners, as well as the guards of her palace, everyone saw that she had been defeated in a single move. Not only had she had lost completely. Even if she wanted to deny it, she couldn't. "Are you all dead people? Why aren't you helping this princess up?" She was filled with shame and hatred as she shouted at the guard around her. The guards quickly rushed forward and helped the Zhao Rong princess up from the ground. "Surname Gu, you're very good. This princess will remember you. This princess will definitely get it back from you." The Zhao Rong princess was filled with rage. She threw down these ruthless words and prepared to leave. Who would have thought that even though she wanted to leave, Chen Ning would not let her go like this? "Hey, princess, wait a minute. Why are you in such a rush to leave? I still have things to say." "What else do you have to say?" The Zhao Rong princess angrily turned around. Chen Ning giggled and said, "The princess words are like water that has been spilled. Everyone should remember it." "What did the princess say before the match?" "If the princess has forgotten, I should remind you. You said that if you lost, you would marry him. What's wrong? The princess has lost, but you want to leave without saying a single word. Could it be that you want to break off the marriage?" The Zhao Rong princess' face turned red and white. She stared at Qin Ning, but she could not say anything. She thought that what she was afraid of had come true. This little cheap woman had caught her words. What should she do? Even if she died, she would not marry that country bumpkin. "This is a matter between this princess and your master. Do you need to care about it?" She angrily said, "My master's matters are also my matters. As a disciple, I naturally have to care about my master's life. Don't you all agree? Ning raised her voice as she asked this question. Yes, that's reasonable. Of course, of course. It is only right and proper for a disciple to care for his master. Everyone agreed, with Ning. When the Zhaorong princess heard this, she almost spat out a mouthful of blood. She just wanted to get rid of this marriage that she didn't want as soon as possible. Without thinking, she blurted out, "Even if I'm willing to marry him, he won't marry me. Yesterday, my father personally proposed to him, but he rejected. If you don't believe me, you can ask him if there's such a thing." As soon as she finished speaking, the crowd immediately gasped. Everyone had an incredulous expression on their faces. Duke Ning actually wants to betroth the princess to a commoner. Duke, are you? He even rejected the princess's marriage proposal? I understand. It must be because of the strange disease the princess has. That's why he doesn't want to marry her. What if she gets infected? Chapter 1525. The people watching all moved back, avoiding Zhaorong princess like she was the plague. Instantly, there was a large empty space in the middle of the crowd. Even the guards supporting Zhaorong Junju were trembling in fear. Their expressions kept changing. As the saying goes, good news does not leave the house, but bad news travels 1,000 miles. Although the matter of Zhaorong princess making a fool of herself in the palace had only happened 2 days ago, it was like this matter had grown wings as it spread through the streets of the capital city. It became the topic of jokes and gossip among the nobles and citizens. The Duke Ning Palace's guards also heard about it. The 2 guards who were supporting Zhaorong Junju were startled and immediately loosened their grip. Zhaorong princess could not stand still and once again kneeled down with a putong sound. She was filled with anger and hate. Before she could even open her mouth to scold her, Ning made a Z sound. Why is the princess kneeling down to my master again? I understand. You're afraid that my master will reject you again, so you're begging my master, right? AI, master, look at how pitiful this princess is. This dignified princess actually kneels down to you twice, and even kneels down to beg you to marry her. Otherwise, why don't you agree? Otherwise, your highness will lose face. These words that added oil to the fire almost made Zhaorong princess explode with anger. She couldn't help scolding, "Bullshit, bullshit. This princess would rather marry a pig or a dog than marry this country bumpkin." She stared at Ning, and the hatred in her heart reached its peak. All kinds of filthy words came out of her mouth. She scolded whatever she wanted and whatever she wanted to hear. Ning was not angry at all. She just smiled as she looked at her scolding. Duke Ning's guards couldn't help lowering their heads, feeling ashamed. Zhaorong princess's curses were something that even they were too embarrassed to listen to. The commoners all had a look of disbelief on their faces before revealing looks of disdain. Some people couldn't help shaking their heads and saying, "I never thought that a dignified princess would be like a shrew when she scolds people." Hey, what princess? She's just a shrew. If we listen to this kind of filthy words, it will dirty our ears. Having a girl like this, she's really losing face for Duke Ning. Zhaorong Junju abruptly shut her mouth. She covered her mouth and her eyes widened. Only now did she realize what she had just said. She had not cared about her status as a Junju at all. She had actually cursed like a shrew in front of so many people. This was simply too shameful. Not only did she lose face for herself, she also lost face for the Duke Ning Palace. It's over. If her father knew this, he would definitely teach her a fierce lesson. "Princess, why don't you keep scolding? Why aren't scolding not? You scold me so nicely, but I haven't heard enough yet." Ning gave a regretful sigh. Zhaorong princess pointed at Zhao Chen eyes. The Zhaorong princess pointed at Ning and swallowed back the word cheap person that was about to come out of her mouth. Ning. She couldn't fall for the other party's provocation. She had already embarrassed herself enough today. She absolutely couldn't become a laughingstock anymore. She did not dare look up at the people around her. She gritted her teeth as she stood up from the ground and shouted, "Why aren't you bringing the sedan back to this princess palace? What are you all standing here for?" The guards finally came back to their senses and quickly went to bring the sedan. Who would have thought that at this time, there would suddenly be a scream coming from the people in the city. Ants! Where did all these ants come from? Chapter 1526. Cockroaches, these are cockroaches. Heavens, there are thousands of cockroaches. Are they crazy? Waves of screams came from the crowd. The people were so scared that they scattered in all directions. All they saw was a black mass of insects on the ground. They were like a tide that surged towards Zhao Rongjunju. These insects were in groups and were densely packed together. At first glance, there were ants, spiders, cockroaches, and some insects that the people could not even recognize. But when they saw them, they felt their bodies go numb and had goosebumps. Protect the princess! Protect the princess! Save me! Save me! Zhao Rongjunju was so scared that her face was pale. Her legs were as soft as noodles, and she could not stand steadily. If it weren't for the guards supporting her, she would have already collapsed into a ball. She desperately stamped her feet to avoid the insects that were crazily charging at her. But there were still many ants and spiders that climbed onto her skirt and climbed onto her body. Her bright red skirt instantly became gray and black. It was densely packed with insects. Save me! Save me! She screamed. She felt many ants crawl into her pants and touch her delicate skin. They started to bite her skin, causing pain and itchiness. Especially when she saw the furry spiders, she was so disgusted that she wanted to vomit. The guards of Duke Ningfu were also frightened. They waved the swords on their waists and helped Zhao Rongjunju drive away the insects. But using the swords on their waists to deal with these insects that were like ants and cockroaches was useless. They could only use their feet to step on them and their hands to catch the insects that were crawling onto Zhao Rongjunju's skirt. But there were more and more insects. It was impossible to get rid of them all. They could not catch them all. It was like a black ocean that completely drowned Zhao Rongjunju. Zhao Rongjunju tightly closed her mouth and did not dare to make a sound. She was afraid that if she opened her mouth, those disgusting insects would crawl into her mouth. Nightmare? This must be a nightmare. These insects must be crazy, crazy. The common people were originally frightened by the flood of insects. At this time, they found that the target of these insects was not them, but Zhao Rongjunju. They couldn't help but widen their eyes in surprise. Wong wong wong. Buzz buzz buzz. Just as Zhao Rongjunju was being tortured by the bugs, everyone suddenly heard the sound of the air vibrating. They all looked towards the source of the sound. In the distance, a large mass of black objects was flying over, flying closer and closer. This is bad. It's a bee. Not only bees, but also mosquitoes. Oh my God, why are there so many mosquitoes? Everyone turned pale with fright. They waved their sleeves and fled in all directions again. Run, run. The crowd was in chaos. But the bees and mosquitoes that had just flown over were not interested in them at all. As they buzzed, they flapped their wings and flew towards Zhao Rongjunju. They were like a pack of hungry wolves that had seen a large piece of delicious meat. Save me! In the blink of an eye, Zhao Rongjunju was surrounded by bees and mosquitoes. She used her hands to protect her face. She felt the back of her hand itch and hurt. In that instant, countless bees and mosquitoes had bitten the back of her hand. Her entire body was covered in bees and mosquitoes, ants and spiders. Chapter 1527. The Duke Ning Palace's guards were all shocked, but when they saw the countless bees and insects, they didn't know what to do. Could it be that they had to use their blades to chop these little insects to death? Chen Ning saw this and couldn't help looking over at Gu Qingze. She thought of the bottle of luring insect powder that Gu Qingze showed her yesterday and couldn't help being filled with admiration. She never thought that this small bottle of powder would have such a strong effect. These ants and bees were truly enough to make Zhao Rong Region Princess suffer. Master, I think this bad princess has been taught a lesson. How about we let her go? She walked beside Gu Qingze and said in a low voice. After all, Zhao Rong Region Princess was Mo Chuan's cousin and Duke Ning's beloved daughter. If she was stung to death by the bees, The consequences would be very serious, and it might even affect Gu Qingze. No matter what, Gu Qingze had used this method to teach Zhao Rong region princess a lesson to help her vent her anger. An eye for an eye. She couldn't let Gu Qingze fall into trouble. Do what you want. It has nothing to do with me. Gu Qingze did not even look at this chaotic scene. He turned around and walked into the palace with an expressionless face. Qianning knew that Gu Qingze was silently agreeing. She raised her voice and shouted, "Don't panic. These insects are most afraid of fire. Quickly light a torch and save the princess." The guards were in a mess like headless flies, but when they heard Qianning's words, it was like they had woken up from a dream. "That's right. We need to light a torch. Quickly bring a torch." But in this rush, they couldn't think of where to find torch. There was a guard who had a quick mind and charged into a nearby shop. He broke off a chair leg and lit it, turning it into a burning torch. The other guards followed suit. They all raised their torches and charged beside Zhao Rong region princess. As expected, when they saw the fire, the bees and insects all moved away, not daring to approach the ring of fire. But the insects that had crawled into Zhao Rong region princess clothes kept biting her, making Zhao Rong region princess cry out in pain. "It's so itchy. It hurts. Are you damn bugs crazy? I'm going to kill all of you. Kill." She scratched her body desperately, but the more she scratched, the more itchy and painful it became. Qianning took a step forward. "Princess consort, you should save your energy and stop scolding them. These insects don't understand human language. They aren't afraid of scolding, but they are afraid of two things. One is fire, and the other is water. You should go home and take a bath, washing off these insects on your body." Zhao Rong Junju thought he was right and hurriedly endured the pain and crawled into the sedan chair. She called out, "Quickly return to the Fu, return to the Fu." The guards raised their torches and surrounded the palanquin, preventing the bugs and bees from approaching. They escorted Zhao Rong Junju and quickly left. Even though the bees and bugs were afraid of fire, they still chased after Zhao Rong Junju's sedan chair with a buzzing sound. When the commoners saw this strange scene, they were all stunned. "What's going on? Why aren't these bugs, bees, and mosquitoes biting us instead of chasing after Her Highness? Yeah, it's really strange. I've lived for decades, but this is the first time I've seen such a strange thing. Say, do you think that Her Highness has contracted some strange disease that attracts bugs and bees?" Chapter 1528. This is very possible. I've heard that beautiful fairies have a strange fragrance that attracts butterflies, but this princess is different. I don't know what kind of fragrance she's releasing, but it's attracting mosquitoes and spiders. Interesting, truly interesting. The citizens were all excited as they began to discuss this. Qianning revealed a faint smile and said to the stunned Dr. Zhang, "Dr. Zhang, there's nothing interesting to see. Let's go back to the palace." After she said this, she walked into the palace. She went straight to the back courtyard to find Gu Qingze. Because they had agreed to leave for the Godly Physician Valley the next day, Gu Qingze had already prepared his luggage. When he came, he had brought 2 large bags, and when he returned, there were still 2 large bags that were piled high on the table. "Master, when did you put the insect-luring powder on Zhao Rong's princess? How come I didn't see it?" she asked with a smile. Gu Qingze looked at her, and his right hand slapped the armrest as he said, "I put the powder on the whip. The whip hit her knee, so naturally her body was covered in the powder." Qianning couldn't help sighing as she said, "Master, your method of poisoning is really impossible to defend against. Even if it was me, I'm afraid I would fall for it. In the future, this disciple will not dare offend Master." Gu Qingze looked at her and said, "You don't dare offend me? What did you come to find me for?" His sharp eyes looked right at Qianning, as if he could see through her thoughts. It made her heart feel weak, and she couldn't say what she was here for. Her eyes turned, and she changed the topic. "Master, Zhao Rong Junju has suffered such a great loss today. I'm afraid she won't dare to bother Master anymore. As for me, I won't have another Junju as master's wife for no reason. As soon as her voice fell, she suddenly felt a pain on the back of her hand. With a schwa sound, a black rope silently flew out, hitting the back of her hand, and then swiftly retracted. If you dare speak nonsense again, your master won't let it go like this. Guqingze fiercely glared at her. She rubbed the back of her hand and took a breath through her teeth. Yes, I definitely won't say it again. But master, your insect luring powder was really good, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Not only did you make Zhao Ron lose face in front of the people of the capital, you also made Duke Ning never ask master for her hand in marriage again. Humph. Guqingze rolled his eyes at her. Isn't it all because of you? Chen Ning's heart felt warm. Thinking of the reason she came to find him, she couldn't help feeling guilty. She lowered her head and did not say anything. Guqingze did all of this to help her vent her anger. He was such a good master, yet she wanted to say that she didn't want to follow him to the Miracle Physician Valley to learn medicine. How about she open her mouth? But thinking of Mo Chuan, thinking of the war between West Chu and South Yu, her wavering heart became firm again. Master, she bit her lips, and under Guqingze's clear gaze, she really didn't know what to say. You've always been eloquent. Why are you hemming and hawing today? If you have something to say, then say it. Guqingze said coldly. She was agitated by him and couldn't help but blurt out, Master, I can't go with you to Miracle Physician Valley tomorrow. Chapter 1529. It was like Guqingze had already guessed it. His face did not reveal any strange expressions as he indifferently looked at her. What happened? He asked. Seeing that Guqingze did not explode with rage, Chen Ning couldn't help letting out a sigh of relief. What she was worried about the most was that Guqingze would not care about the situation and scolded her face. She took a breath and told him about Chu Xiao Yang escaping from prison, stealing the 5 linked crossbow blueprints, and possibly defecting to South Yu. After saying this, she said, if it really is as Mo Chuan predicted, then before long, West Chu and South Yu will have a big battle. At this time, as the West Chu Empress, I can't just focus on my own safety and ignore the entire country. Master, you understand me, right? Guqingze calmly looked at her and declined to comment. He only said one sentence. This Chu Xiaoyang, is he your original husband? His love turned into hate, and because he couldn't obtain you, he took the 5 repeating crossbow blueprints and surrendered to South Yu. He wanted to borrow South Yu's military strength to take back the throne that belonged to him, as well as you. Guqingze calmly looked at her. Chen Ning bit her lips and did not reply. If Chu Xiaoyang really betrayed the country because of this, then she really would be the main culprit that Empress Dowager Zhou spoke of. All right, since it's like this, then you can stay. Guqingze said. Chen Ning was pleasantly surprised. Her eyes opened wide as she looked at Guqingze. She called out in a voice of disbelief, Master, you agree? Guqingze looked at her and said, even if I want to take you with me, even if I take your body, I can't take your heart. What use do I have for a disciple that only has a shell and no heart? If your heart is here, how can you focus on learning medicine with me? It's better if you take care of things here and then come find me in the Miracle Doctor Valley. You owe me this much. Don't think I'll let you go. Master, you can be assured I will definitely do what I promised. If things don't go as Mo Chuan expected, and if Southie doesn't send out their troops, I will definitely go to the Miracle Doctor Valley. Master, are you really going to leave tomorrow? Can't you stay a few more days? She was a little reluctant. After being together for this period of time, she couldn't help feeling attached to this master because he knew so much. Whenever she encountered a problem or danger, he would always have a way to help her. Stay a few more days? Do you think your master only has you as his disciple? I've already left the Miracle Physician Valley for a long time. If I don't return soon, what will happen to those patients? Chen Ning thought of the long line of people waiting outside the valley, and she blushed with shame. Then I'll come see you off tomorrow morning. She knew that she could not keep Guqingze. She had promised to leave with him, but she went back on her words. However, he was not angry at all. She felt that she was really lucky to have such a good master. Yes, Gu Qingze nodded. With such a big event happening, there must be a lot of things to deal with. You should hurry back to the palace. Be careful on your way back. All right, master, I'll be leaving first. Wait for me tomorrow. She stood up and said. Chapter 1530. Chen Ning couldn't help letting out a poochie laugh. I understand, master. She turned around to look at Gu Qingze, and her heart felt warm. From his words, she could feel his deep concern for her. Go. Gu Qingze waved his hand and turned around his chair. His back was facing her, not looking at her again. Chen Ning looked at his thin back, and her heart suddenly felt sour for some reason. She bowed down to his back and said in a low voice, Master, I'm leaving. Gu Qingze didn't even turn his head and just gave a sound. She bit her lip and suppressed the reluctance in her heart. She turned around and quickly walked out. Gu Qingze waited until her footsteps could no longer be heard before he slowly turned around. He looked in the direction she left and maintained that posture for a very, very long time. Chen Ning returned to the palace and went straight to the royal study. She knew that Mo Chuan would be in the royal study at this time. As expected, when she arrived at the royal study, she saw Xiao Si in the distance. Greetings to the Empress. Xiao Si had a worried look on his face, but when he saw Chen Ning, his eyes lit up. Empress, it's great that you're here. Quickly go in and see His Majesty. His Majesty has been in the study since the morning court session ended and hasn't come out until now. This servant brought him lunch and refreshments, but His Majesty didn't take a single bite and even chased this servant out. This servant is worried about His Majesty. He works so hard but doesn't eat or drink. How can his body bear it? Is that so? Chen Ning's eyes fell onto the box of food in his hand. What's inside? These are the food and refreshments that the royal kitchen has just sent over, but the emperor has ordered that no one is allowed to disturb him. This servant doesn't dare enter. Xiao Si replied, Give it to me. Chen Ning took the box of food and walked into the royal study. With a gentle push, the door opened. Xiao Si looked at her with a face of worry. He was afraid that the emperor inside would lose his temper and kick the empress out. Luckily, the study was silent. Mo Chuan wasn't angry and just softly said, Close the door. Xiao Si quickly closed the door and secretly wiped his cold sweat. He was thinking that it was a good thing the empress came over at this time. Only the empress could go in and calm the emperor down. He ordered the guards on the left and right stand a bit further away. The emperor and the empress don't like being heard by others. The guards immediately replied, Yes. Chen Ning entered the royal study and walked in. Opening the door, she saw Mo Chuan's arms on the table. He was staring at a large map on the table with slightly knit brows. Hearing her footsteps, he didn't even look up. Ninger, why are you here? Ninger, why are you here? Chen Ning said this as she walked over with a box of food. She placed the box of food on the side of the square table and opened the lid. She placed the food and refreshments on the table one by one. The fragrance of food wafted into her nostrils, and she suddenly felt hungry. Only then did she remember that she had not eaten yet. Mo Chuan, although the country is important, your body is more important. If you don't eat your fill, how will you have the energy to think about the country? She walked over to grab Mo Chuan's hand and spoke in a soft voice. Mo Chuan finally looked up from the map and revealed a faint smile to her. Mo Chuan finally looked up from the map and revealed a faint smile to her. Chapter 1531. When Chen Ning saw that he was eating, she would look at the map on the table from time to time. She used her chopsticks to gently tap the back of his hand. Mo Chuan, concentrate on eating. Mo Chuan looked away and placed a dish in her bowl. He said, You're leaving tomorrow, so you won't be able to eat the food in the palace. Eat a bit more. Chen Ning gave an sound. She placed the dish in her mouth and slowly chewed it a few times. Mo Chuan looked at her and couldn't help asking, What? You don't like it? I remember that you really like this dish. She slowly said, I have something to tell you. What is it? Do you want me to send you off tomorrow? Even if you don't say it, I will personally send you off. It's not that. She shook her head. Then what is it? What else do you need? It's not anything. Mo Chuan, do you want me to leave this much? Do you really want me to leave this much? She put down her chopsticks and looked right at him. Mo Chuan was a bit stunned, but then he revealed a loving smile. He rubbed her hair and said with a smile, You can't bear to leave me, right? I promise you, when I'm not so busy, I will definitely go to the Godly Physician Valley to see you. I heard you say that it's like a paradise, so I want to go take a look. I want to spend a few days with you in that paradise that even the gods can't compare to, all right? His voice was low and beautiful, and the words he said were very pleasant to listen to. Chen Ning's eyes became hot. She lowered her head and forcefully bit down on the back of his hand. Hey, why are you biting people out of nowhere? Do you think the food made by the royal chef isn't tasty? What do you want to eat? I'll immediately order them to make it. Mo Chuan said with a smile, not feeling angry at all. Chen Ning looked up and saw the bite marks on Mo Chuan's hand. She angrily said, If you lie to me again, I'll bite off a piece of your flesh. Mo Chuan's body trembled, but he revealed a smile as if nothing had happened and said, When have I ever lied to you? The words you said just now, did they come from your heart? Will you go to the Miracle Physician Valley to see me? I think it's clear that you're afraid I'll make trouble for you if I stay in the capital, so you impatiently want to send me away. After I leave, the Empress Dowager can marry another virtuous and dignified girl for you. Isn't that right? She deliberately said. Mo Chuan's face sank, and he said with a serious expression, Ninger, whose rumor did you hear? Is this not true? Even if there is no Princess Zhao Rong, there will be Princess de Rong or the Princess of Northern Qi. Nonsense. You clearly know that you're the only one in my heart. In this life, I will only ever have you as my wife. No matter what princess or princess you are, I won't even look at you. If mother forces me again, I will abdicate and not be the emperor. He tightly gripped her hand and resolutely said. He stared at her with an incomparably serious expression. Ninger, could it be that even today, you still doubt my feelings for you? Do you really think that if you leave the capital, I will marry another woman into the palace? Chen Ning's heart was moved. She looked down and said in a low voice, Mo Chuan, I believe you. Since you believe me, why did you say those words just now? She raised her head and looked right into his eyes. Mo Chuan, I'll only ask you one thing. You have to honestly tell me, why are you sending me away? Chapter 1532. How am I putting the blame on you? Did you forget? You clearly told me that day that you were going to leave the capital city to study with your master in the Godly Physician Valley for a year. It's only been a few days, and you don't remember? You were afraid that I wouldn't agree, but now that I've agreed, what, you don't want to go anymore? Chen Ning seriously nodded. That's right. I regret it. I don't want to go. I want to stay here and be with you. Mo Chuan was slightly shocked. Then he patted her head and said with a smile, Don't speak nonsense. You're leaving tomorrow. How can you regret it just like that? If your master knew, he would be very angry. Let's go. I'll accompany you back to the palace now and see how Xiao Ru's luggage is prepared. If you feel that bringing Xiao Ru alone isn't good enough, you can pick a few palace maids to bring with you. If there's anything else you want to bring, just tell me. All right, I only want to bring one thing, but I'm afraid you won't agree. As long as you say it, I'll definitely agree. You, she firmly said. What? Mo Chuan was stunned. She clearly said, The one I want to bring away is you. If you don't want to go with me, then I'll stay here and accompany you. Mo Chuan, we've agreed that no matter what difficulties we face, we'll face them together. Why are you in such a rush to send me away when West Shu is in danger? Is it because you don't want me to be in danger? But don't forget, you're the West Shu Emperor, and I am the West Shu Empress. How can I leave you in the country at this time and go to the Godly Physician Valley to hide? What face do I have to be the Empress? What face do I have to face the West Shu citizens? Do you think that I, Chen Ning, am a coward who is afraid of death? Mo Chuan couldn't help being stunned. He never thought that she would say this. His heart was filled with all sorts of emotions, and he didn't know what to say. He could only forcefully hold her hand and tightly hold it in his palm. After a while, he finally slowly said, Ninger, listen to me. This matter isn't as serious as you think. Is it really not serious? If it wasn't serious, you wouldn't be in such a rush to send me away. Mo Chuan, you can hide it from others, but you can't hide it from me. This matter is already very serious, isn't it? That's why you told Xiao Ru to prepare something for me this morning. You want to send me away as soon as possible? Chen Ning did not wait for him to finish before she cut him off. She gritted her teeth and glared at him. She suddenly stood up and walked to the imperial table, pointing at the map on the table. Ninger, what is this map? The map was filled with dense circles. Although she couldn't understand it, she knew that these circles were marked by Mo Chuan. Mo Chuan also slowly stood up and walked beside her. Looking at the map, he gave a faint sigh. All right, I really can't hide anything from your eyes. That's right. This map is the border between West Shu and South Yu. If the South Yu Kingdom really wants to send out their troops, then this is the path they must pass through. I'm studying the terrain here. Chapter 1533. Mo Chuan nodded and said, You're right. This is indeed a mountain road, and the terrain is very steep, making it very hard to walk. It is indeed not easy to march, but you don't know this. The South Yu country has a kind of horse. This kind of horse is short and not good at running, but it is very durable, so it is not a problem for them to walk on this mountain road. So, I'm sure that if the South Yu country wants to march, they will definitely use this mountain road. So it's like this. Chen Ning studied the map for a while, but it was a pity that her understanding was limited. She couldn't help knitting her brows. Mo Chuan, since you already knew that they would march on this road, you can set up an ambush on the road ahead of time and catch them off guard, she suggested. Mo Chuan stared at the map and pondered in silence. After a while, he shook his head. I'm not familiar with the terrain here, and as far as I know, this isn't the only mountain road here. I've already asked the locals who are familiar with the mountain roads to ask questions, but none of this is important. What I'm most worried about is Chu Xiaoyang. He said word for word. Chu Xiaoyang. Chen Ning looked up at him. Is he that strong? He clearly can't beat you. Mo Chuan said with a serious expression, Don't look down on Chu Xiaoyang. In terms of martial arts, he is indeed not my match, but in terms of marching and arranging troops, I am far from being his match. In these 10 years, there hasn't been a day when he hasn't studied military books and arranged troops. Although he doesn't have any battle experience, with his intelligence and the books he has read, he cannot be underestimated. If there really is a battle, other than your father in our West Shu country, I'm afraid no one can compare to him. Chen Ning's face slightly changed, and her brows knit even tighter. You're saying that Chu Xiaoyang is this strong. Why don't you let my father meet him and see who is stronger? That's not good. Your father is currently guarding the border between West Shu and East Qin. It's a good thing he is here. The East Qin that has been eyeing us for so many years has not invaded our border. If I send him to guard this place and deal with Chu Xiaoyang, I'm afraid East Qin will take advantage of this. At that time, our West Shu will be attacked from all sides, and we will suffer a crushing defeat. Mo Chuan shook his head. He had thought of Chen Ning's idea before, but it didn't work. Mo Chuan shook his head. He had thought of Chen Ning's idea before, but it didn't work. After all these years, it can't just be one Shen Fong and one Chu Xiaoyang, right? Chen Ning looked at Mo Chuan in confusion. Of course there are people who can lead troops, but if the person leading the South Vietnamese army really is Chu Xiaoyang, I don't dare use any of these people. Mo Chuan said in deep thought. Why? Think about Chu Xiaoyang's identity and you'll understand. Mo Chuan said in a deep voice. Chu Xiaochun. Chen Ning thought about it and then realized something. I understand now. You're saying that Chu Xiaoyang is the previous emperor's son and the throne should have belonged to him. All the ministers in the court are the previous emperor's subjects, so you're worried that they will be disloyal? Chapter 1534. When Mo Chuan said this, he couldn't help forcefully slapping the table. Looking at the entire court, only your father Shen Fong is loyal to the country. He only thinks about the West Shu citizens and wants West Chu to become stronger, not like the other officials in the court who only think about how to get promoted. If there was a second general like your father in the court, I wouldn't have to worry this much. Chen Ning didn't understand the matters of the court at all, but she knew that since Imo Chuan said this, he had his reasons. His worries were correct. If the generals sent out were bought by Chu Xiaoyang, the consequences would be unimaginable. Then, what are you prepared to do? Since there are no generals in the court, how about you personally lead the troops? If you personally lead the troops, you will be able to defeat Chu Xiaoyang and make him flee. A light suddenly flashed in her mind, and she blurted this out. Imo Chuan looked at her and patted her hair. Although his heart was filled with worry, he still revealed a smile. You really know how to flatter me. How do you know that if I personally lead the troops, Chu Xiaoyang won't be my match? I've already said that his martial arts can't compare to mine, but I can't compare to him in battle. If I really lead the troops, we will lose the first few battles without a doubt. Imo Chuan, we haven't even fought yet, but you're already boosting the morale of others and destroying your own. How could you possibly lose? Your martial arts are this good, so why don't you launch a surprise attack and charge into the enemy's camp, capturing the enemy's general? It doesn't matter if he is Chu Xiaoyang or not. As long as the general is captured, wouldn't the enemy only be able to admit defeat? When Imo Chuan heard her naive words, he couldn't help smiling. Silly girl, do you think leading troops to battle is the same as competing in martial arts? If it was that simple, I would have already infiltrated the East Qin country and assassinated their emperor. Then they would have no leader, and we could take advantage of this and rescue the previous emperor. You have to know that there is always someone better out there. You always say that my martial arts are good, but that is because you haven't seen an expert stronger than me. I don't have the face to call myself #1 in the world. He paused and then said, as the emperor, the first thing I have to do is know myself. I have never fought a battle, and I haven't read many military books, so if I were to really fight, I would not be Chu Xiaoyang's match. Not to mention that, as a general, I have the lives of hundreds of thousands of soldiers in my hands. As long as I make a wrong command, it is equal sending them to their deaths. Our West Chu troops are already weak, so we have to use them where they are, and we cannot let them risk their lives. Chen Ning said with a nod, I understand. Imo Chuan, you're a good emperor and a wise ruler. Not only do you love your citizens, you love your soldiers. Imo Chuan couldn't help glaring at her. Stop praising me. If you continue to flatter me, I'll make you a general and send you to the front lines. He was just casually saying this to scare her, but who would have thought that Chen Ning's eyes would light up? She clapped her hands and said, all right, I am the West Chu Empress. If you want me to lead troops, I will do my best. Imo Chuan was shocked and scolded. Nonsense. Do you think that leading troops to battle is child's play? You're not allowed to speak nonsense. Chapter 1535. Imo Chuan nodded. That's right, but although he doesn't have any battle experience, he has been practicing arrays for the past 10 years. He is very ambitious, so he must be very familiar with military tactics. His 10 years of training will not be a waste. If he dares to lead an army here, it means he has full confidence in winning. Even your father, I can't guarantee that he will win against Chu Xiaoyang. Chen Ning curled her lips and said, I'll tell you a story. Tell you a story? Imo Chuan said in a curious voice. He couldn't understand why she would tell him a story at this time, but he still said, all right, you tell it and I'll listen. Chen Ning nodded and said, this story is called Armchair Strategy. It is about a very famous general's son. He was familiar with military books since he was young, and when it came to military matters, even his father could not compare to him. Later, the emperor gave him a heavy responsibility and sent him to lead an army of 200,000 to meet the enemy. In the end, he only knew how to use the military books and suffered a crushing defeat. His army of 200,000 was killed by the enemy. So, people who only read military books without any battle experience are not terrifying. Imo Chuan said with a faint smile, your story is very pleasant to listen to, but it is just a story. Chu Xiaoyang is not a fool who only knows how to talk on paper. I have seen the notes he left in the military books, and he is indeed very knowledgeable and talented in military affairs. He saw Chun Ning's disapproving face and gently pressed a button on the mechanism. Not long after, Zhou Feng appeared in front of the two of them like a gust of wind. "Emperor, what orders do you have?" He knelt down on one knee to greet him. "The things this one wants, have you brought them all?" Reporting to the emperor, they have already been brought back. They are outside the palace, but this subordinate did not dare disturb the emperor, so I have been waiting outside. "Very good, bring them all in now," Mo Chuan said. "Yes, Emperor." Zhou Feng's figure flashed, and he floated out the door. "Mo Chuan, what did you tell him to bring?" Chen Ning asked in a curious voice. "No rush, you'll know in a bit." Mo Chuan patted her hand and revealed a faint smile to her. Very soon, the door to the imperial study was opened, and a group of guards carried in a few boxes and neatly stacked them on the ground. "Is everything here?" Mo Chuan asked. Reporting to the emperor, "It's all in the boxes." Zhou Feng respectfully replied. "All right, you can leave." Mo Chuan waved his hand, and the guards left. Mo Chuan pointed at the large boxes and said, "All the military books Chu Xiaoyang has read for the past 10 years are all here. You only need to take a look to know why I'm so afraid of him. He is indeed a military genius, and if he betrays the South Yu country, the South Yu country will be like a tiger with wings. They already have many soldiers, and now they have a Chu Xiaoyang. They are very aggressive, and I don't have any generals in my hands. With this, my West Chu will be in danger." Chen Ning said, "Mo Chuan, you underestimate yourself too much. You keep saying that there are no generals in the court, but in my opinion, you are a general. You don't think about winning, but you think about losing. You say you don't understand military tactics, but you know that you will lose the first few battles. Losing a battle is not scary. What is rare is losing without panicking. To be able to lose without panicking, that is the talent of a general. It seems like you already have a way to deal with Chu Xiaoyang, right?" Chapter 1536. When Mo Chuan heard this, he couldn't help laughing. He shook his head and said, "I can't be considered a great general. I'm just making a last-minute effort to read these military books and see what Chu Xiaoyang has learned in the past 10 years. Only then can I know my enemy, and perhaps I can find a way to deal with Chu Xiaoyang. Only time is tight, and there are so many military books. I'm afraid I'll have to read them all night. You have to leave for the Godly Doctor Valley tomorrow morning, and it's already late, so go back and sleep. Tomorrow morning, I'll personally send you out of the capital city." He patted Chen Ning's shoulder and stared at her. His eyes couldn't help revealing a look of reluctance to part, but it only flashed for a moment before he quickly covered it up. A war was about to begin. At this time, he could not indulge in his feelings. He had to send her into danger as soon as possible. He could not let her suffer a single bit of harm. Once the war between the two countries began, perhaps he really would have to personally lead the army. There would be no one in the capital city at that time, and she would be left here alone. How could he be assured? Chen Ning said with a firm expression, "Mo Chuan, I've already said that I won't leave. I want to stay with you." "Nonsense, you can't." He rejected her without even thinking about it. "I'm not nonsense, and there's nothing you can't do. I was the one who said I wanted to leave, and now I'm the one who said I want to stay. If you chase me away again, I'll really leave, and I won't come back. Mo Chuan, think clearly. Do you really want me to leave you? Are you really willing to let me leave you?" She looked right into his eyes with a serious expression on her face. Mo Chuan could see that she was not joking. She was absolutely serious, and she would do what she said. How could he be willing to let her leave? How could he really let her leave? The so-called letting her leave was just to protect her from any harm. If she really left and didn't come back, then what was the point of doing all of this? Chen Ning noticed that his eyes slowly changed. From the initial resistance, it softened, and then it became gentle. "Silly girl, you know that I'm unwilling. In this world, the person I'm most unwilling to part with is you," Mo Chuan said in a low but firm voice. When his voice fell, his lips fell onto hers. He pulled her into his embrace and gently kissed her. She closed her eyes and hot tears were about to flow out. Although she couldn't see his expression, Through his lingering and delicate kiss, she could feel a kind of tenderness for being held in the palm of his hand, which made her heart sour. In this world, there was no one who treated her better than Mo Chuan. In this world, there was only one Mo Chuan. All right, since you've decided to stay, then stay. But how are you going to explain this to your master? Mo Chuan. Mo Chuan said. Mo Chuan. Mo Chuan. Mo Chuan's eyes. Mo Chuan stood at a T say. She calmed herself down and said, I promised Master that I would go to Miracle Physician Valley in 3 months' time. He agreed. Mo Chuan nodded. Then tomorrow morning, I'll send him off with you. You really want to send him off? Chen Ning's eyes opened wide. Chapter 1537. Before he could finish, Chen Ning cut in, My master doesn't want any gifts. Mo Chuan nodded and said, That's right. I know that your master is carefree and unrestrained. He doesn't care about worldly possessions at all. If I gave him an official position or gold or silver, he would look down on me. However, I really don't know what he wants or what he likes. Now that you're staying by my side and not going with him to the Miracle Physician Valley, I feel even more guilty. After thinking about it, I can only personally send him off to express my sincere gratitude. I also want to tell him that if he has any requests in the future, as long as he asks, I will definitely do it for him. Chen Ning said with a faint smile, You are the son of heaven. You have to keep your word. When the time comes, you can't go back on your word. Of course I won't go back on my word. You little girl, does your heart favor your husband or your master, Mo Chuan looked at her with a threatening gaze. Chen Ning giggled and said, You two are equally important in my heart. Mo Chuan's face sunk, and he gave a heavy snort. She stuck out her tongue and said with a smile, You really don't understand? Of course I understand. If his position in your heart surpasses mine, then you should leave with him tomorrow and not stay by my side. How can I not understand? All right, it's getting late. I still want to read some military books. Go back to the palace and rest first. I'll have Zhue Feng send you back. Mo Chuan patted her head and prepared to summon Zhue Feng. Chen Ning asked, Mo Chuan, you didn't sleep last night. Are you still not going to sleep? How can you endure like this? She looked at him with a pained and worried expression. Mo Chuan shook his head and said, I can't sleep and I don't want to sleep. Thinking about how Chu Xiao Yang is 10 years ahead of me and I only have a few short days, I really wish I could split every moment in half. Even if it's like this, I'm afraid I won't be able to read many of these large boxes of military books. He walked in front of the boxes and casually opened one of them. He saw that the books inside were all neatly stacked. There were at least several dozen books in this box, and with these large boxes, there were probably several hundred military books. If he wanted to read them all in just a few days, that was an impossible matter. Mo Chuan had already made his decision. He wouldn't sleep for the next few days, and he would use all the time he had to read these military books, reading as much as he could. As long as Chu Xiao Yang delayed sending the troops by a day, he would have one more day to read. He called Zhue Feng over, escort the Empress back to the palace. He called Zhue Feng, escort the Empress back to the palace. Chen Ning shook her head. I'm not going back to the palace. Mo Chuan, I want to stay here with you. I'm very interested in these military books and want to read them. She did not wait for Mo Chuan to speak before picking up the military book at the top and flipping through it. After turning over a few pages, she put down the book, picked up a second, and began to read. After reading a few pages of the second military book, she put it down and switched to another one. Chapter 1538. Chen Ning casually flipped through a few military books. After reading a few pages, she had a rough idea in her heart. These military books were mostly the same. Most of them described a few battles, focusing on actual combat and not much on theory. She pondered for a bit before looking up at Mo Chuan with a smile and said, Just read your book and don't worry about me. I'll find something to pass the time, and when I'm tired, I'll go rest. Zhue Feng, you can leave. Zhue Feng looked at Mo Chuan, waiting for his order. Mo Chuan waved his hand and said, "You can leave." Zhou Feng finally left the room. "All right, you can do whatever you want, but you're not allowed to disturb my reading. Otherwise, I'll immediately send Zhou Feng to send you back to the palace. Relax, just concentrate on reading your military book. I promise I won't disturb you." Chen Ning smiled and placed a military book in Mo Chuan's hands. She lit a candle and then quietly sat on the side, not making a single sound. Mo Chuan gave her a smile of praise before focusing his mind. He flipped open the military book and began to concentrate on reading it. This military book was filled with wonderful battles, and he quickly became engrossed, not knowing how fast time passed. Unknowingly, he flipped to the last page, but he was still not satisfied. Closing his eyes, he began to silently think about the contents of the military book. After a while, he seemed to have understood something and opened his eyes. He picked up the second military book and was prepared to flip through it, but he suddenly thought of Chun Ning on the side. When he looked up, he found that she was sitting in front of the desk, writing. This girl, it's rare for her to be so diligent today, knowing how to write. This is good. It'll give her something to do, so she won't be so bored. Mo Chuan looked at her with a faint smile. He did not disturb her and continued to read the military book. He read 3 military books in one go and remembered the contents of 7 battles. But he felt that there were some things missing, like logic, strategies, and strategies. Mo Chuan, you should read this first. He was prepared to reach out for another military book when a gentle voice suddenly rang out. At the same time, a new military book was placed in front of him. What kind of military book is this? He curiously looked at it and saw 4 large words written on the cover. Sun Tzu's Art of War. The handwriting was elegant and the ink had not even dried yet. The page was pure white, so it was clear that it had just been written. Sun Tzu's Art of War. He looked up at Chun Ning in surprise. Did you write this? How come I've never heard of this military book before? Chen Ning said with a smile. I wrote it from memory. It wasn't me who wrote it. The person who wrote this book is called Sun Wu. He is a very powerful strategist. Su? Which country is he from? Which dynasty? Why have I never heard of it before? Mo Chuan thought about it for a while, but he couldn't think of any powerful military strategist with this name. Chen Ning vaguely said, I don't remember which country he came from, but I don't know when he read this book, so I wrote it down. I just feel that this military book is different from the books I just read, so you could take a look. If it's not good, then you don't need to read it. Chen Ning vaguely said, I don't know. She was afraid that Mo Chuan would continue asking, so she quickly pushed it away. Mo Chuan was skeptical, but he casually flipped to the first page. Looking at the first line, his eyes were instantly attracted. He stared right at the book, not even willing to blink. Chapter 1539. His eyes lit up, and he couldn't help reading it aloud. He hungrily read it, going from the first chapter to the 13th chapter, strategy chapter. The more he read, the more he felt this book was deep and profound. The principles it described were easy to understand, but what made him the happiest was that there were many military strategies and tactics that had never been recorded in other books. For example, the 3rd chapter, strategy chapter, talked about using intelligence to attack a city. The 6th chapter, reality chapter, talked about how to surround the enemy and create a situation where we are stronger, using numbers to win. The 9th chapter, marching chapter, talked about how to set up camp in the palace and observe the enemy situation. The 13th chapter, strategy chapter, talked about how to use spies to defeat the enemy. Good book, it really is a good book. This is the kind of military book I really want to see. Mo Chuan couldn't help praising it. He quickly read it the first time and felt that it was full of aftertaste. He only understood 10% of the principles, so he couldn't help starting from the first page again. When he read it for the second time, he gained a deeper understanding of it. War is a path of deception. Well said. He couldn't help but praise it. Chen Ning saw his loving appearance and revealed a faint smile. She didn't disturb his reading and sat on the side, continuing to silently write. Mo Chuan flipped through the Art of War 3 times, but he was still not satisfied. He felt that he had learned too little and that there were still many subtle things in this book that he hadn't comprehended yet. Ninger, with this art of war, it doesn't matter if you don't read the other military books. In my opinion, this book is the best of all the military books. There is no one better than it. He held the art of war and prepared to read it a fourth time. Ning gave a soft laugh and said, "You're praising this book too much. It is indeed a good book, but I have another military book here that is not inferior to Art of War." "Really?" Mo Chuan's eyes lit up, and then he shook his head with a face of doubt. "I don't believe there is a better military book in this world." Ning said with a smile, "Take a look first." She placed the book she had just finished writing in front of him. 36 Stratagems. Mo Chuan looked at the 4 words on the cover and softly said. Ning said, "There are a total of 36 stratagems in this book. The first 3 stratagems are winning stratagems, fighting the enemy stratagems, and attacking stratagems. They are stratagems used when one has the advantage, and each stratagem contains 6 small stratagems. The last 3 stratagems are mixed warfare stratagems, combined warfare stratagems, and defeat stratagems used when one is at a disadvantage. Each stratagem also contains 6 small stratagems, so this book is called the 36 Stratagems." Mo Chuan's heart was filled as he listened. His hands slightly trembled as he held the book. He took a deep breath and turned to look. The first stratagem is to cross the sea by deceiving the heavens. If you don't prepare well enough, you'll get tired of it. If you see it often enough, you won't be suspicious. He read on in one breath and was soon attracted by the wonderful contents of the book. Chapter 1540. While Mo Chuan was reading military books in the royal study, in the Duke Ning Palace, there was a large uproar. After Zhao Rong Princess left, Duke Ning sat in the main hall, waiting for someone to report the good news of Zhao Rong Princess being defeated by the ancient divine doctor and being engaged in public. But he waited left and right, waiting until a pot of tea had been brewed over and over again, until it tasted no different from plain water, but he still didn't hear any news from Zhao Rong Junju. Someone quickly go to Dr. Zhang and see what happened to the princess. He couldn't hold it in any longer and sent people to investigate. But before he could even leave the mansion, he heard a flurry of hurried and panicked footsteps coming towards him. "This is bad, this is bad. The princess is back." The housekeeper's voice came from outside the main hall. Following that, he stumbled into the main hall. Duke Ning was filled with rage. He raised his hand, and with a pa sound, he slapped the housekeeper's face. He angrily shouted, "Bastard, you're becoming more and more speechless. It's good that the princess is back. How is it bad?" The housekeeper covered his face and took in a breath of pain. He reported with a sobbing tone, "Sir Duke, quickly come out and take a look. Our princess has been injured by someone. That appearance, it's really too horrible to look at." "What?" Hearing this, Duke Ning almost fell off his chair. He didn't care about his demeanor and ran out, running to the palace gates in one breath. Zhao Rong Princess Palanquin was parked there. Duke Ning charged over and opened the curtain, calling out to the person in the palanquin, "Zhao Rong." His voice came to an abrupt halt, and his eyes widened in disbelief as he stared at the person in front of him. No matter what, he couldn't believe that the person in front of him was the precious pearl in his palm. "You, where did a beggar like you come from, daring to sit in my son, Zhao Rong's palanquin? Quickly scram out for this, Duke." He angrily shouted. God, he had never seen a more disgusting beggar in his life than the one in front of him. His clothes were tattered, dirty, and smelly, and his body was crawling with mice, flies, mosquitoes, and bedbugs. Especially his face, it was bumpy and red and swollen. If he took another look at it, he would almost vomit. It really was too ugly, too disgusting. Zhao Rong Princess couldn't help crying out. She sobbed as she said, "Father, your daughter is Zhao Rong." She cried as she threw herself into Duke Ning's embrace. Duke Ning's body trembled, and he dodged her without even thinking. His sleeve covered his nose and mouth as he revealed a look of disgust. Someone quickly dragged this beggar away for this duke and beat him to death. What an audacious beggar. How dare you sit in the princess' sedan chair and pretend to be the princess? You deserve to die 10,000 times for your crime. He shouted in a stern voice. The guards around him knelt down and said, "Hi, Duke. She's not a beggar. She's the Countess. Ning, Zhao Rong, this beggar is Rong?" Duke Ning's eyes widened in shock. No matter how he looked at it, this beggar in front of him didn't have anything to do with Zhao Rong. "It's really the princess, Lord High Duke," the guard said in unison. Chapter 1541. As Zhao Rong Junju cried, she desperately waved her sleeves to chase away the insect that were still flying toward her. Even though the guards kept on using torches to help her chase them away, these insects seemed to not care for their lives. They came one after the other as if they had a deep grudge against her and wouldn't rest until she was dead. You really are Zhao Rong? Heavens, how did you become like this?" Duke Ning finally recognized his daughter's voice. His hands trembled. Ignoring the disgusting things crawling all over his daughter's body, he hugged Zhao Rong. Two streams of tears flowed down his face. "Quick, you damned idiots! Why haven't you called for a doctor yet? Quick, someone come. Quickly send the Junju back to the Fu. Also, you have to think of a way to kill all these things on the Junju's body. Quick, quick!" Duke Ning sent people to send the battered and exhausted Zhao Rong Junju into her room. The people in the Fu quickly prepared hot water for Zhao Rong Junju to bathe. While Zhao Rong Junju was bathing, the mosquitoes were still flying towards Zhao Rong Junju's room. The servant girls were so scared that they tightly closed the doors and windows, not leaving a single crack. After Zhao Rong Junju had bathed 7 or 8 times, the smell of the luring powder on her body was completely washed away. The mosquitoes and bees couldn't smell it and flew around like headless flies before scattering. The servant girls finally let out a sigh of relief and helped Zhao Rong Junju out of the bathtub. But Zhao Rong Junju's entire body was covered in blisters of all sizes. There would be stings, mosquito bites, and even bedbugs. The pain and itchiness were unbearable. She was in so much pain that she cried for her parents. The doctor quickly rushed over. When he saw Zhao Rong Junju's appearance, he jumped in fright. He took Zhao Rong Junju's pulse and wrote a prescription. He also took out a tube of ointment and gave it to Duke Ning. "Duke Ning, this is a tube of cool peppermint ointment. It can temporarily relieve the Junju's pain and itchiness. But the poison that has accumulated in the Junju's body needs to be slowly removed by drinking medicine." "Poison? What poison has Zhao Rong been poisoned with?" Duke Ning's eyes sharpened. The doctor quickly said, "Because the Junju has been stung many times by bees, some bee poison has accumulated in her body. She is not poisoned. As long as she takes medicine according to the prescription, she will be fine." Duke Ning nodded. He sent people to send away the doctor and had the servant girls apply medicine for Zhao Rong. He walked out of the room. The more he thought about this matter, the more he felt it was strange. Zhao Rong had gone to compete with Gu Qingze without rhyme or reason. So how did she end up like this? It was as if she had a grudge with those bugs in her past life, and those bugs had come together to seek revenge. "Men, bring the guards who followed the princess to the martial arts competition here. I want to interrogate them personally." Duke sat in the hall, as in the guards. The Duke set the other guards. "The guards, all of you, tell me everything that happened today in full detail. Don't leave out a single word." He slammed the table with force and shouted sternly. The guards were so frightened that they were as quiet as cicadas in winter. Their bodies were shaking, but they still gathered their courage and told the story of how Zhao Rong Junju had challenged Gu Qingze to a duel. Actually, the process of the martial art competition was very simple. Gu Qingze made a move and broke Zhao Rong Region Princess whip. In the blink of an eye, Zhao Rong Region Princess knelt in front of Gu Qingze. After listening to the guard's report, Duke Ning felt even more puzzled. Chapter 1543. Duke Ning's heart turned cold as he said in a deep voice, "Speak clearly. Who harmed you? Did you see it clearly?" The Zhaorong princess said in a hateful voice, "If it's not that little slut, then it's that surnamed Gu. They must have done something to your daughter that attracted all these dirty things. Woo, father, if you don't kill them, your daughter will die in front of you." Duke Ning said, "Think about it carefully. Did the divine doctor Gu come near you at the time? The divine Dr. Gu would not do something like this. If he wanted to harm you, why would he save you?" He still did not believe that Gu Qingze would harm his daughter. Especially after he used Gu Qingze's medicine, he felt that the illness on his body had lessened a bit. His heart was filled with gratitude towards Gu Qingze. Zhaorong Junju bit her lip. "I remember now. That little B** TCH really did get close to me. She even pretended to be friendly and helped me brush off the dust on my dress. At the time, I thought, how could that little B** TCH be so kind? Who would have thought that she really did put poison on me at that time? And that's why so many filthy things have come." She hated Chun Ning to the bone in her heart. These words that came out of nothing seemed to be true. Even she herself almost believed it. Duke Ning's face turned serious as he asked again, "Did she really wipe away the dust for you?" "It's completely true. Your daughter would not wrongly accuse others." "Father, that little slut harmed your daughter like this. Your daughter will not live under the same sky as her. Zhaorong, you just need to properly recover. You don't need to worry about anything else, but father will not forgive anyone that hurts you." Duke Ning patted his daughter's back as a cold glow appeared in his eyes, making him look very sharp. The Zhaorong princess was filled with pride. "Father, how do you plan on dealing with her? Quickly tell your daughter. This matter cannot be rushed. Moreover, she is the empress, so father needs to think about it carefully. If we're going to do it, we need to do it flawlessly, without a single flaw. Father is still lacking a strong martial artist to help me. Zhaorong, you've gone out to study for 3 years. Do you have a good relationship with a strong martial artist?" Duke Ning thought about it for a bit before speaking to his daughter. The Zhaorong princess thought about it. "My senior apprentice brother's martial arts are not normal. Master always praises him, saying that he is the best disciple in the sect. Moreover, he has always been very good to me, always taking the chance to talk to me and flatter your daughter. Although his martial arts are good, he is still lacking compared to my royal cousin, so your daughter is too lazy to bother with him." Duke Ning was an experienced person. He could guess from his daughter's expression and tone. Duke Ning was an experienced person. He could guess from his daughter's expression and tone. Zhaorong Junju's mouth twitched, and she disdainfully said, "He's not as good-looking as Cousin Emperor, and his martial arts aren't as good as Cousin Emperor's either. Unless I'm blind, I wouldn't like him. He doesn't even look at himself in the mirror. How could he be worthy of me? Humph." Duke Ning glared at her and said, "Immediately write a letter and send it to your eldest senior apprentice brother. Invite him to the capital as a guest in our manor." "Father, what? You want to invite my eldest senior brother as a guest? You aren't thinking of marrying your daughter to him, right?" "I won't marry. Other than my royal cousin, I won't marry anyone." The Zhaorong princess shook her head like a rattle drum with a determined expression. Chapter 1544. "Then why did you invite my senior apprentice brother to our palace for no reason? What kind of thing is he? How could he be worthy of taking half a step into our palace?" Zhaorong princess' face was filled with contempt. It could be seen that this senior apprentice brother did not have any weight in her heart at all. Duke Ning patted her shoulder and said with a faint smile, "His identity is not important, and it is also not important whether he is worthy of you or not. However, if you want revenge, your eldest brother is a very suitable candidate. You just need to summon him, and I will make arrangements for the rest. I will definitely let you get what you want." Hearing this, the Zhaorong princess was pleasantly surprised. She pulled on Duke Ning's sleeve and looked up as she shouted, "Father, have you thought of a plan? You, quickly tell your daughter." "I can't say this plan right now. When father sees your senior apprentice brother, I will know if this plan will work or not." Duke Ning revealed a sinister smile. The Zhao Rong princess impatiently got off the bed. All right, your daughter will immediately write a letter to senior apprentice brother. As long as he receives my letter, senior apprentice brother will immediately rush over. She was very confident because in this world, other than her cousin the emperor, there was no other man who did not immediately fall at her feet when they saw her. In these 3 years of studying martial arts, which man in the sect wouldn't fall head over heels for her? A trivial senior apprentice brother naturally wouldn't enter her eyes. The royal study. That night, Mo Chuan did not even close his eyes. He read Qin Ning's 36 Strategies and Sun Tzu's Art of War over and over again, not wanting to put them down. Every time he read them, he would feel enlightened. It wasn't until the sky brightened that he put down the book reluctantly. Turning his head, he saw Qin Ning lying on the table, already in a deep sleep. Seeing her sleeping so sweetly, he didn't have a heart to wake her up, but today was the day to send off Gu Qingze. If he missed it, she would feel guilty for a long time. So he hardened his heart and gently pushed her shoulder. Ninger, it's almost dawn. Wake up. Qin Ning opened her eyes in a daze. It's almost dawn? So soon? She rubbed her eyes and looked out the window. She saw that the light of dawn had already dyed the window paper white. She instantly jumped up and shouted, it really is dawn. And Mo Chuan, why didn't you wake me up earlier? It's not too late to wake you up now. The city gates haven't opened yet, so your master can't leave. And Mo Chuan put down the book and lovingly stroked her hair. And Mo Chuan, do you really want to come with me to send master off? Aren't you going to morning court? She blinked. And Mo Chuan was stunned. After thinking about it, he said, you go first. I'll be there as soon as the court is over. It's perfect. You two master and disciple might have something to talk about. If I'm not present, your master will be more at ease. He had a faint feeling that Gu Qingze had some hostility towards him, but he didn't care at all. Master was that of Gugu. I can't him. She stood up with a smile and tidied up her dress. Then she picked up a book that she had written down from memory last night and held it in her arms. You, Mo, could it be a military strategy book? Mo Chuan looked over in curiosity. Chapter 1545. In the past, I deliberately kept him in suspense and never wrote this book down for him. Now, this can be considered my parting gift to him. Only compared to the deep kindness my master has shown me, this gift is just too small. She gave a faint sigh, and Mo Chuan comforted her. Silly girl, your master treats you well and doesn't ask for any repayment from you. As long as you learn medicine and bring glory to his title as the #1 divine doctor in the world, don't lose his face. This is the best repayment to him. Qin Ning couldn't help smiling as she said, I never thought that you would be my master's friend. That's right, my master also said the same thing. Mo Chuan said with a faint smile, I'll have Zhue Feng escort you. Has Zhue Feng's injuries healed? He has just suffered such a serious injury. Let him rest in the palace. His injuries are no longer a problem. The reason he was able to recover so quickly is all thanks to the elixir your master gave him. A person who receives kindness from others should be repaid with gushes of spring water. I believe he also wants to personally thank your master. Mo Chuan called Zhue Feng over and had him escort Qin Ning to send Gu Qingze off. As expected, Zhue Feng happily accepted the order. Qin Ning packed up and brought the medical book to Dr. Zhang's palace. It was only around 8 or 9 in the morning right now. She entered the palace and went straight to the back courtyard. She saw that Gu Qingze's room was tightly closed, and she couldn't help smiling at Zhue Feng. My master is becoming lazier and lazier. He still hasn't gotten up at this time. Let's wait for him here and not wake him up. Zhue Feng nodded and stood behind Qin Ning. He looked at the room with a look of gratitude in his eyes. Zhue Feng, are your injuries healed? Qin Ning asked in a concerned voice. Reporting to the Empress, it's fine. It's all thanks to the elixir the divine doctor gave me. This subordinate is filled with gratitude towards the divine Dr. Gu. Zhue Feng replied in a simple manner. Qin Ning said with a smile, It won't be too late to thank my master after you see him. Zhue Feng hesitated a bit, wanting to say something. What do you want to say? Empress, this subordinate has a request that I would like to ask the Empress to agree to. Zhue Feng suddenly bowed to her. Chen Ning's eyes sparkled and she guessed. You want to send my master off, right? That's right. Zhue Feng replied in a deep voice. Good. It's rare for you to have such intentions, so I will naturally agree. I was originally worried about my master's safety along the way, so it's great that you volunteered. She nodded with a smile. The two of them waited in the courtyard. They waited from sunrise all the way until the sun was over their heads, but they still didn't see Gu Qingzi get up and open the door. Chen Ning looked up at the sun above her head and said in a doubtful voice, Why hasn't my master woken up yet? Did something happen to him? Zhue Feng was also worried. He held his breath and listened to the sounds in the room. After a while, he suddenly said, Empress, there doesn't seem to be anyone in the room. No one. Gu. Chen Ning's heart jumped in her throat. She didn't care if she would wake Gu Qingzi up as she slammed the door and shouted, Master, master. The door was locked from the inside, and she couldn't open it. She called out several times, but the room was still silent. She bit her lips. Zhue Feng, open the door and take a look. I'm worried that something has happened to Master. Chapter 1546. Zhue Feng took a step forward and placed his right palm on the door. With a bit of internal energy, the latch on the inside broke. Opening the door and seeing the scene in the room, Chen Ning and Zhue Feng were both stunned. They originally thought that Gu Qingzi must have gotten into an accident, but all the furnishings in the room were fine, spotless, and not a single speck of dust could be seen. The bedding on the bed was neatly folded, but Gu Qingzi was missing. This is bad. Something must have happened to the divine Dr. Gu. This subordinate will immediately go investigate. Zhue Feng's first reaction was to charge out the door. No need, Zhue Feng, there's no need to go. My master is fine. Chen Ning gave a faint sigh, and her eyes fell onto a letter on the table. She walked over and opened it, only to see two words written on it. Take care. It was Gu Qingzi's handwriting. She stared at those two words in a daze. Her heart was sour, warm, and sweet, but she couldn't say anything for a while. Empress, you said that the divine doctor is fine? Zhue Feng asked in a suspicious voice. His eyes swept over, and seeing the letter in her hand, he was instantly enlightened. So the divine doctor has already left? Chen Ning slowly nodded, and her expression was filled with an indescribable melancholy. That's right, my master has left. He actually left without saying goodbye. I said I would send him off, but he didn't wait for me before leaving. He must be angry with me, so he doesn't want to see me. She bit her lips, and her throat felt choked up, not being able to continue. Tears began to fall from her eyes, and her heart was filled with an indescribable sadness. Zhue Feng also had a look of disappointment on his face. Seeing Chen Ning's sad appearance, his heart was not any better than hers. He had received a great favor from the divine doctor, but he did not have time to repay him. His benefactor had left just like this, not even being able to fulfill his wish of sending her off. Empress, although the divine doctor has left, he shouldn't have gone too far. This subordinate will definitely be able to catch up to him. Chase. Chen Ning raised her head and looked around the empty room. She shook her head. There's no need to chase after him. My master left early in the morning just to avoid me. Since he doesn't want to see me, what can I do even if I chase after him? I'm afraid I'll only make him angry. Zhue Feng hesitated before saying, if the divine Dr. Gu is angry with the Empress, this subordinate has not offended him. This subordinate wants the Empress to allow this subordinate to send him off. You're going? Chen Ning's eyes lit up and she nodded slightly. Not bad. With your skills, you will definitely be able to catch up to my master very quickly. All right. Since that's the case, help me send my master off. Bring this along too and help me pass it to my master. Remember to tell him that once I'm done with my matters, I'll go to the Miracle Physician Valley to look for him. She placed the medical book in Zhue Feng's hands. Zhue Feng solemnly put it away and said, this subordinate will go. He flew up and landed on the roof. With a few leaps, his figure disappeared. Chen Ning stood in the yard and watched as Zhue Feng disappeared in front of her. Thinking of Gu Qingze leaving like this, her heart was filled with melancholy. Empress! Empress! She turned around and saw Dr. Zhang walking into the yard. He was holding a bag in his hand as he respectfully bowed to her. Chapter 1547. Divine Dr. Gu he left? Dr. Zhang was shocked as he quickly looked at the room Gu Qingze was in. He saw that the door was wide open and there was no one inside. His mouth fell open as he revealed a look of shock. Chen Ning gave a faint sigh and said, "So Dr. Zhang didn't know that my master had left. I came here early in the morning, but he had already left, and I didn't even have time to send him off." Dr. Zhang was stunned for a while before coming back to his senses. He had a look of disappointment on his face. "AI, it's all this minister's fault. I didn't receive you well and offended the divine Dr. Gu, so he left without saying goodbye. I hope the Empress can forgive him. Dr. Zhang, this matter has nothing to do with you. So what crime have you committed?" "My master, he's just not willing to see me," Chen Ning said in a low voice. Thinking of how she had promised Gu Qingze to go to the Godly Physician Valley with him, but she had gone back on her word at the last moment, it was no wonder he was angry. If it was her, she would also be very unhappy. Dr. Zhang shook his head and had a look of disapproval. What is the Empress saying? How could the divine Dr. Gu not be willing to see the Empress? You are his beloved disciple. This minister really envies the Empress for being able to have the old divine Dr. Gu as a master, especially the love he has for the Empress. This minister is very touched. He gave the bag in his hand to Chen Ning with both hands. The divine Dr. Gu came to this old minister last night and told this old minister to give the things in this bag to the Empress. He also told this old minister to pay attention to the Empress body. This old minister has seen all of this, and the divine Dr. Gu is not angry at the Empress or against the Empress' care. Chen Ning looked at the bag and said in a surprised voice, "My master had someone give this to me." "That's right." Chen Ning took it and looked at the coarse linen bag. It was made of the same material as the robes Gu Qingze usually wore. Her heart suddenly skipped a beat, and she said in a soft voice, "So my master came to find you last night, and he had you leave something for me." She gently opened the bag and saw that there were 2 handwritten books inside. The paper was brand new and the ink was fresh. It was clear that it had been written not long ago, and she couldn't help giving an ah sound. One of the books had Internal Classics written on it, and the other book had Pulse Classics written on it. After Dr. Zhang saw it, his eyes lit up with envy, and he said with a sigh, "The divine Dr. Gu is truly attentive to the Empress," leaving 2 medical books for the Empress before he left. These 2 books must have been written by the divine Dr. Gu's life. If this old minister could read them, I would be willing to die. Chen Ning held the medical book in her hand and flipped it open. She saw that each page was filled with neat handwriting, with the content being the most basic knowledge of Chinese medicine. The Meridian Manual was the easiest to understand, but it was written in detail. There were also many medical examples as evidence. Yang Chun, Dr. Ming. He Yin Chun of Zhang, Chun, Yang, Dr. Yin Yang was Shun Yang Chun Wang of Wang, Yang, and was Yang of Yang, He Chun of Gugu of Long of Gu, He, Dr. Dr. Zhang was filled with joy. When he took the medical book, his hands slightly trembled as he was incomparably excited. With a pious heart, he slowly opened the first page of the Pulse Classic. However, after reading a few lines, he couldn't help but be stunned. Chapter 1548. Dr. Zhang was a bit disappointed. He never thought that the contents of Gu Qingze's medical book would be this normal. He had learned this knowledge of meridians when he was 7 or 8 years old, but after looking at it a few more times, his eyes lit up and he couldn't help reading it again. Empress, the ancient divine doctor's knowledge is truly as deep as the sea. This old minister has received pointers from the Mongolian divine doctor and has benefited quite a bit. Although the principles written in this book are simple, the ancient divine doctor is very meticulous, being able to find his own ideas from the small details. Just this Pulse classic can be said to be the most suitable medical book in the world. Even if this old minister is reading it now, I can still learn quite a bit from it. He closed the medical book and respectfully handed it back to Chen Ning with both hands. Chen Ning received it and stroked the smooth pages. Smelling the faint fragrance of the ink, she secretly vowed that she would thoroughly study these two books and build a good foundation for her medical skills. Only then would she live up to her master's hopes and efforts. She held the two medical books that Gu Qingze left for her and went back to the palace. She saw Mo Chuan and told him about Gu Qingze leaving without saying goodbye. She also told him that Zhue Feng had chased after Gu Qingze and was secretly protecting him, so it would be a few days before he could return to the palace. Mo Chuan nodded and took the medical book from her hands to look at them. He saw that the words were very clear, and it was clear that these two books were written by Gu Qingze overnight. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Ning, your master is truly considerate of you. After this battle is over, I will personally send you to the godly Dr. Valley. Chen Ning said with a faint smile. You finally know how good my master is. And Mo Chuan couldn't help snorting and pretending to be angry as he said, When did I say that he was bad? Chen Ning smiled. She remembered that when she first became Gu Qingze's disciple, Mo Chuan had been jealous of Gu Qingze. Of course, she was smart enough not to mention it this time. Mo Chuan, you haven't slept all night and your eyes are completely red. Even if you want to study military books, you don't need to be in a rush. If you tire your body and Chu Xiaoyang really leads an army to attack, how will you face the enemy? Mo Chuan's face turned serious as he said, These two military books you wrote have greatly benefited me. Reading this book is better than reading 100 books Chu Xiaoyang has read. If I have more time, my chances of winning will be even higher. I have already sent people to the South Yu border and have increased the number of troops in the Southern Pass and Shuanglu cities, just in case Chu Xiaoyang suddenly attacks. Southern Pass and Shuanglu? That's right. Look, this is the border between our West Chu and South Yu. Chapter 1549. Chen Ning thought about it and said, Since these two cities are this important, have you sent any generals? Mo Chuan shook his head and said, I told you yesterday that I don't have any generals I can use. The generals of these two cities were originally stationed in these cities. Although the South Yu Kingdom has been eyeing our West Chu for 10 years, they have never attacked us. I'm worried that they will slack off, so I've already sent people to remind them to be on guard against a sneak attack from the South Yu Kingdom. Only the capital is from the Southern Pass and Shuanglu Kingdom. Even if they send a report on horseback, it will take 5 days. I don't know if they will make it in time. What will take 5 days? Chen Ning couldn't help taking in a cold breath. She pointed at a pass on the map and said, Didn't you say last time that Chu Xiaoyang might attack from this mountain road? Would he abandon this road and attack the Southern Pass and Shuanglu Kingdom instead? Mo Chuan said, That's right, if he wants to launch a sneak attack, he can use this road to enter our West Chu territory. Moreover, there are very few people who know about this road. They have horses that are good at crossing mountains, so this road is the most suitable. However, this mountain road has a fatal weakness. Look here. He pointed at a place on the map. Chen Ning looked at it and said, This shape looks like a gourd. That's right, this place is called the Gourd's Mouth because it is shaped like a gourd. Last time I said that there are several mountain roads that lead to my West Chu's hinterland, but they all lead to the same destination. No matter which mountain road they take, they will eventually pass through this Gourd's Mouth. As long as I can set up an ambush near the Gourd's Mouth, I can defeat them. Since Chu Xiaoyang is familiar with military books and the terrain here, he won't make this kind of mistake. Unless he doesn't put me in his eyes at all, he would choose this path. But to be safe, I have already sent people to set up an ambush here. If Chu Xiaoyang doesn't come, then it's fine. But if he really wants to attack me from the Gourd's Mouth, then I'll make him suffer. His right hand formed a fist, and he slammed it on the map, speaking in a powerful voice. Chen Ning couldn't help looking up and looking at Mo Chuan with a strange gaze. Why are you looking at me like this? Mo Chuan was a bit surprised. Mo Chuan, you've only studied military books for a night, but you've already learned this much. I really admire you. Mo Chuan revealed a faint smile and stroked her hair. I've only learned a few things in the military books, and there are many strategies in there, but I haven't thought about how to use them yet. I've learned a few things in there. Chuan are the key to opening my West Chu territory. As long as he controls the southern pass and Lu, the South Yu can enter and my West Chu will be. He paused before saying, so other than this gourd mouth, the southern pass and Shuanglu cities are Chu Xiaoyang's other choices. These two cities are the keys to my West Chu, and as long as he occupies the southern pass and Shuanglu, the South Yu army will be able to enter and my West Chu will be in danger. In this way, the southern pass and Shuanglu cities are of utmost importance, and they can't be lost no matter what, right? Since it's like this, you should send a capable general to defend the city. If the court really doesn't have a general, I'm willing to recommend myself, Chen Ning said after thinking about it. Chapter 1550. Chen Ning had mentioned this to him yesterday, but he had only treated it as a joke and laughed it off. Now that she mentioned it again, he still did not take it to heart. Even if there was no one else he could use in the court, he would not send his wife out to lead troops. Not to mention that not only did she not know martial arts, she did not know how to lead troops at all. Chen Ning seriously looked at him and said, Mo Chuan, I'm not speaking nonsense. I'm being very serious. She was not just casually saying this. Rather, she had considered it for a long time. Chu Xiaoyang defecting to the enemy was all because of her, and this disaster was because of her, so she had the responsibility to solve it. Although she did not know how to lead troops in a battle, she would think of a way to convince Chu Xiaoyang to retreat. She could not let Chu Xiaoyang cause a calamity because of her. Let the citizens suffer from the chaos of war. Let the soldiers break up, and let their blood fall on the battlefield. All right, you're being very serious. Then I'll also be very serious. You can't do this. Mo Chuan seriously replied. Why can't I? Are you looking down on me because I'm a woman? What did I look down on you? Because you're a woman. You're smart and have a photographic memory. This intelligence is something that even 10 men cannot compare to. If it wasn't for you bravely stepping forward and solving the problem that East Qin gave to my West Chu, it would be unknown how hard the citizens' lives would be. When mentioning this matter, who wouldn't admire you? But Ning leading troops in a battle is different from reading tablets on horseback. As a general, not only do you need to read the art of war, you also need to look at the overall situation. If you're the slightest bit careless, the soldiers will fall into an unrecoverable situation. This is not something that can be done just by being smart. After I read these two books, I felt that the depth of the art of war is something that I cannot comprehend. Although you've memorized these two books, you don't know how to use them. So how can I let you lead troops in a battle? You can't mention this matter again. If you say this again, I'll immediately send someone to send you to the Miracle Doctor Valley. Mo Chuan's expression was very serious. He knew that if he said anything, she would take advantage of his soft heart and pester him. At that time, he did not know if he could harden his heart and reject her request. Chen Ning rolled her eyes and pouted as she said, I was just casually saying it, but you treated it so seriously. How could I lead troops in a battle? I just wanted to make you smile, but you're being this serious. You really can't take a joke. Mo Chuan finally revealed a faint smile. Are you joking? I can see that you're very serious, so you just need to put your heart in your stomach. Even if there is a war, as long as I'm here, even if the sky falls, I'll hold it up. As for this war, although there are no generals in the court, what you said yesterday was correct. I am a general myself. As long as I learn the art of war, why would I fear a Chu Xiaoyang? I've never led troops in a battle before. So when Chu Xiaoyang has led troops before, even if he has experienced South Yu generals by his side to assist him, with his obstinate and self-opinionated personality, he will not listen to the opinions of others. Let's just wait and see. Chun He, Ning. Chun He He He. He 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 He. Chen Ning saw that he had a worried look on his face yesterday, but today he was filled with energy. She knew that he must have learned something from these two military books, so she couldn't help revealing a faint smile. That's right. Chapter 1551. Mo Chuan, what's wrong? Chen Ning followed his gaze. Someone's coming. Mo Chuan's hearing was very far, so he had already heard the sound of hurried footsteps coming from the palace. As expected, not long after, he heard a sharp voice from outside the door. With the Empress Dowager's orders, I summoned the Emperor to the Peaceful Life Palace. Mother is looking for me? Mo Chuan knit his brows. His first thought was that Empress Dowager Zhou wouldn't be forcing him to marry Zhao Rong again, right? But then he thought of something else. Definitely not. At this moment, Empress Dowager Zhou should already know about Zhao Rong's scandal in the Enqing Palace, so she definitely wouldn't force him. If it wasn't for Zhao Rong, then it had to be for Chu Xiaoyang. This was another matter that gave him a headache. Once Empress Dowager Zhou knew that Chu Xiaoyang had defected to South Yu with a map, and that he would bring troops to attack West Chu, Empress Dowager Zhou would be filled with rage, and she would put this black pot on Chen Ning's head. But since Empress Dowager Zhou summoned him, he couldn't hide it. Not to mention that in this palace, there were no walls that didn't have ears. Once Chu Xiaoyang really brought troops here, the entire world would be shocked, and this matter would reach Empress Dowager Zhou's ears sooner or later. Rather than letting Empress Dowager Zhou be shocked and angry, it was better for him to report to Empress Dowager Zhou first. This way, Empress Dowager Zhou wouldn't be worried. Ning, wait for me here. I'm going to see Mother. Chen Ning nodded and opened the medical book Gu Qingze left behind. With a calm smile, she said, I'll wait here for you to come back. Seeing her calm smile, Mo Chuan's heart became even more confident. He was willing to pay anything to protect her from harm, letting her always have this kind of smile on her face. He followed the eunuch to the Peaceful Life Palace. When he left, he also placed the two military books that Chen Ning had written in his sleeves. When he arrived at the Peaceful Life Palace, Empress Dowager Zhou had just sent out dinner. Seeing Mo Chuan enter the palace, Empress Dowager Zhou greeted him with a smile. Emperor, you've come at the right time. This widow has specially ordered the royal kitchen to prepare some of your favorite dishes, so you can eat in this widow's palace. Mo Chuan saw that Empress Dowager Zhou's complexion was good. Her face was rosy and her eyes were filled with energy. He knew that this was all thanks to Gu Qingze's medicine. Good. The food in Mother's palace is excellent. Every time I come to Peaceful Life Palace to eat, I will eat 2 more bowls. He sat down with a smile and said to Empress Dowager Zhou with a faint smile, Has Mother been well these past 2 days? Is there anything wrong? Empress Dowager Zhou personally picked up a dish for him and said with a smile, This widow has been sleeping very well these past 2 days, falling asleep as soon as my head touched the pillow. Does Mother still feel a headache? Mo Chuan asked in a concerned voice. He knew that Empress Dowager Zhou's headache was an old problem. As long as she was in a bad mood or excited mood, she would have a splitting headache. This problem had followed Empress Dowager Zhou for over 20 years. Since he was young, he often saw Su Jin massage Empress Dowager Zhou's forehead. Now that you mention it, it's quite strange. This old illness hasn't acted up in the past few days. If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten about it. Empress Dowager Zhou looked at Su Jin serving on the side and asked, Do you remember how long it's been since this widow has had this problem? Chapter 1552. Empress Dowager Zhou gave a slight nod. That's right, that's right. Speaking of this widow, I really need to thank that ancient divine doctor. Emperor, summon him to the palace tomorrow. This widow will reward him generously. Mo Chuan replied, Mother, that ancient divine doctor left the capital this morning and went back to the godly Dr. Valley. What? He already left? Why so suddenly? Empress Dowager Zhou was shocked. She put down the chopsticks in her hand and revealed a regretful expression. She gave a faint sigh and said, This widow has received his favor, but before I can repay him, he has already left like this. How can this widow's heart be at peace? Imperial Mother, as a doctor, Divine Dr. Gu's duty as a doctor is to treat and save people. He won't covet Imperial Mother's reward. I originally wanted to reward him heavily, but after thinking about it, I couldn't think of a suitable gift. If I rewarded such an extraordinary person like him with a high official's gift, it would be an insult to him. As for his kindness in treating Imperial Mother's illness, I will remember it in my heart. As long as there is a chance in the future, I will definitely repay his kindness. Empress Dowager Zhou nodded and said, "You have to remember it. Receiving a bit of kindness from someone, you have to repay it with a spring. You can't not repay him just because he is a divine doctor." This widow also heard that he took your empress as his disciple. Is this true? Mo Chuan replied, "That's right, there is this matter. Ning is naturally intelligent and has a photographic memory, so the ancient divine doctor likes her a lot. That's why he took her as his last disciple." Empress Dowager Zhou picked up a dish and took a bite. Then she put down the chopsticks and said, "That is her good fortune. Only, since she took the ancient divine doctor as her master and the master left, why hasn't she left as his disciple? Could it be she isn't going to the godly Doctor Valley to learn medicine with the ancient divine doctor? Perhaps she can't bear the pain of cultivating in the mountains, so she can't bear to leave the prosperity of the capital and the fine clothes and food in the palace." She revealed a faint cold smile and revealed a look of disdain. Mo Chuan replied with a serious expression, "Mother has wronged Ning. She was indeed going to the godly Doctor Valley to learn medicine with the ancient divine doctor, but your son couldn't bear for her to leave, so he forced her to stay with your son." He knew that Empress Dowager Zhou was still dissatisfied with Chun Ning, but he couldn't tell Empress Dowager Zhou about Chu Xiaoyang's betrayal, so he used himself as the reason. When Empress Dowager Zhou heard this, she couldn't help glaring at him in disappointment. "Emperor, how can you be so sentimental? You've truly wasted all the teachings I've given you. Yes, it's all your son's fault. Your son feels like there are fewer and fewer people he can trust by his side, so he treasures everyone around him. Your son can't bear to part with Ning, and your son can't bear to part with Mother. Your son only wants to see Mother healthy and happy every day. That's enough." Mo Chuan looked at Empress Dowager Zhou with sincere eyes. His words came from the bottom of his heart. Ever since Chu Xiaobai left, he had been feeling guilty. If he knew this day would come, he would have treated Chu Xiaobai well. Empress Dowager Zhou's heart skipped a beat. She reached out and placed her hand on the back of Mo Chuan's hand. "Good child, for you to say these words, it's not a waste of Mother's efforts." Mother and Empress looked at each other and smiled. Their hearts were filled with boundless warmth. All the estrangement and confusion disappeared in this smile. Chapter 1553. "Come, Chuaner, have a taste of this dish." Empress Dowager Zhou had a smile on her face. Her brows were filled with happiness as she personally placed a dish into Mo Chuan's bowl. Mo Chuan was also filled with happiness. He rarely saw this kind of heartfelt smile on Empress Dowager Zhou's face. He said with a smile, "Your son has already said that the dishes in Mother's palace are the best, and they are all your son's favorite." He was speaking the truth. Empress Dowager Zhou liked to eat light vegetarian food, and this table was mostly filled with fragrant meat dishes. Out of 10 dishes, 9 of them were his favorite. It was clear they were specially prepared for him. Since you like it, then eat more. This widow has seen that you've become skinnier over the past few days, and your eyes are completely red. This widow has also heard that you spent the entire night in the royal study. Emperor, the country's politics are important, but your body is also important. If you tire yourself out, aren't you afraid this widow will be worried about you? Empress Dowager Zhou looked at him with a pained expression as she turned to give orders to Su Jin. "Quickly stew a bowl of bird's nest for the emperor to nourish his body." "Yes, Empress Dowager." Su Jin bowed before turning to leave. She had watched Mo Chuan grow up, so her love for Mo Chuan was no different from Empress Dowager Zhou's. Mo Chuan said with a smile, "Mother is worrying too much. Your son is a martial artist, so I need less sleep than normal people. Your son only needs to meditate for a bit, and it will be comparable to a normal person sleeping for 2 hours. Mother can be assured, your son will take care of his body. He saw that Empress Dowager Zhou still wanted to say something, so he quickly said, Mother, this dish is really good. I wonder where Mother found this chef to actually make such a delicious dish. Empress Dowager Zhou said with a faint smile, If you didn't mention it, this widow would have forgotten. That's right, this widow invited you to dinner today because this widow has found a good chef. The dishes on the table are all made by this chef, and this widow feels that they are not bad. I never thought that even the emperor would like to eat the dishes made by this chef. Mo Chuan praised, Congratulations, Mother. It's rare for a chef to receive Mother's praise. This person's cooking skills are not ordinary, so your son will definitely heavily reward him, making him do his best to cook for Mother. There's no need to congratulate me. This chef's dishes do not suit this widow's taste. This widow likes to eat vegetables. The simpler the better. This chef's skills are not ordinary. Leaving him here for this widow is a waste of talent. How about this widow send this chef to the emperor's Guanyu palace? You can always eat the delicacies this chef makes. How about that? Empress Dowager Zhou said with a smile. Empress Dowager Zhou nodded. Empress Dowager Zhou said with a smile. Then wouldn't it be your son stealing Mother's people? Silly child, why are you talking about stealing? If Mother has something good, she will think of you first. If you are willing, this widow will send someone to send this chef to your palace. Empress Dowager Zhou said. Her words filled Mo Chuan's heart with warmth, and he replied with a smile. Since it's like this, it would be disrespectful for this minister to refuse. Your son thanks Mother. He did not care about the chef's cooking skills. He only cared about Empress Dowager Zhou's care for him. As for the Guanyu Palace, having a chef with good cooking skills was not bad. Ning would definitely like the dishes made by this chef. Chapter 1554. Mo Chuan thought that Empress Dowager Zhou would ask about Chu Xiaoyang, but after eating the meal and eating Su Jin's bird's nest, Empress Dowager Zhou did not mention the name Chu Xiaoyang at all. He secretly thought that he was thinking too much. Empress Dowager Zhou called him over just to have a meal with him and have a few words of conversation. Empress Dowager Zhou waited for him to drink another cup of tea before saying, Emperor, you are busy, so this widow won't keep you. You can eat a meal with this widow today and chat for a bit. This widow is already very happy. You don't need to come every day for the next few days. You have to prioritize the important matters. Mo Chuan stood up and respectfully gave a bow. Your son understands. Mother, please rest. Your son will leave now. Empress Dowager Zhou gave a slight nod and said, Good child, you can go. Mo Chuan looked at the Empress Dowager Zhou's kind smile under the candlelight, and his heart couldn't help feeling sour. He thought that if Chu Xiaoyang really rebelled, it would be hard to see this kind of smile on his mother's face again. Mother, please take care of yourself. Your son will come visit Mother when I have time. After saying that, he turned around and left the peaceful life palace. On the way, he thought back to the 2 hours he spent with Empress Dowager Zhou. The mother and son were very harmonious, and Empress Dowager Zhou even took the initiative to mention Chen Ning's name. Although her voice was still a bit dissatisfied, she didn't scold her like before. Her face was filled with anger, clearly showing that she wanted to accept Ning. As expected, his mother no longer rejected Chen Ning. For her to have this kind of change, Gu Qingze played a huge role. When Mo Chuan thought of this, his gratitude towards Gu Qingze increased by another level. Coming out of the peaceful life palace, he did not return to the Guanyu palace. Rather, he went straight to the royal study. With the battle around the corner, he did not have the heart to rest at all. He had to use this time to study the military books. Even on the way back to the royal study, he impatiently took out the military books from his sleeves and began to read them in the candlelight. When he arrived at the royal study, he came out of the carriage. Seeing the light coming from the window, he knew that Chen Ning had not left yet. As expected, when he entered the room, he saw Chen Ning sitting under the candlelight. looking at the large map on the table. She didn't even notice him walking behind her. Mo Chuan quietly stood behind her for a while and saw that she was staring at a location on the map. He followed her gaze and saw that she was looking at the Nongguan village's red dot. What are you thinking, being so engrossed? Could it be that you want to recommend yourself and lead the troops to fight the enemy on my behalf? Mo Chuan said this and scared Chun. She suddenly turned around and found that it was Mo Chuan. She angrily said, Mo Chuan, why are you scaring me? Mo Chuan smiled as he reached out to hug her. His chin rubbed the top of her head. You were too engrossed and didn't even know that I came. It's a good thing that I came. If it was an assassin, your head wouldn't be there right now. Chen Ning giggled and disapprovingly said, You've set up an inescapable net around the royal study, and there are skilled secret guards. How could an assassin get close to me? She suddenly thought of something and asked, Is the Empress Dowager calling you because she knows about Chu Xiaoyang? Chapter 1555. Chen Ning was a bit surprised. She tilted her head and thought about it, but she couldn't guess what Empress Dowager Zhou was thinking. Did the Empress Dowager mention me? Is she in a bad mood whenever I'm mentioned? Mo Chuan deliberately nodded with a serious expression. That's right, Mother did mention your name. Then did she become so angry that she couldn't even eat? Her heart suddenly skipped a beat, and a bad feeling filled her heart. Silly girl, do you think your mother is such a narrow-minded person? She only asked about the matter of you and the ancient divine doctor. She also said that it was your good fortune to have the ancient divine doctor as your master, and she hoped that you could properly learn medicine from the ancient divine doctor. She didn't say anything bad about you. So are you assured now? Mo Chuan thought of the smile on Empress Dowager Zhou's face, and his heart was filled with an indescribable joy. Even the haze of Chu Xiaoyang's betrayal was swept away. Empress Dowager Zhou and her were the two people he cared about the most. His greatest wish was for Empress Dowager Zhou to accept Chen Ning one day. He hoped that the person he liked, Empress Dowager Zhou, would like him. After talking to Empress Dowager Zhou and seeing her attitude, Mo Chuan could foresee that this wish would come true soon. Chen Ning was a bit surprised. She thought that Empress Dowager Zhou had called Mo Chuan because she knew about Chu Xiaoyang's matter. According to her calculations, Empress Dowager Zhou would put this bad debt on her head. If she wasn't scolding her, she would force Mo Chuan to divorce her. Who would have thought that this was not the case at all? She knew that her previous identity was a thorn in Empress Dowager Zhou's heart. For a strong person like Empress Dowager Zhou to soften, it was truly strange. Mo Chuan, actually the Empress Dowager loves you very much. Her attitude towards me before was not because she hated me, but rather because of my identity. The Empress Dowager cares about you too much, so she can't allow a stain like me to exist by your side. Before Chen Ning could finish, Mo Chuan had already cut her off. He tightly held her hand and firmly said, Who said you are a stain? I will not allow you to talk about yourself like this. You are the only treasure in this world, and I was lucky enough to find you first. Being able to marry you is the greatest fortune of my life. And Mo Chuan, being able to meet you is my fortune. Chen Ning bit her lips and revealed a faint smile. She forced back the tears in her eyes. No, she couldn't go on like this. If he said a few more heartfelt words, she would be willing to die for him. We're husband and wife. So, is there a need to be this polite? Mo Chuan also smiled, revealing his snow-white teeth. His facial features were very handsome. Chen Ning's face turned red, and she turned her head, not wanting to look at his bewitching smile. This guy had grown to look like this. Even she couldn't help but feel her heart palpitate when she saw him. No wonder Zhao Rongjunju was willing to die for him. She wanted to marry him, even if it cost her life. Mo mean T her. I say her. Endowing the comma of the U, Chun said, Dun comma Chun. I dower. Ning said, I. Chapter 1556. Chen Ning had already forgotten about this matter, but when he mentioned it, her stomach began to rumble. I forgot. You have tea and desserts here. I'll just eat a few desserts to fill my stomach. She picked up a dessert and was about to put it in her mouth when Mo Chuan took it from her hand. She couldn't help being stunned. What? You won't even let me eat desserts? Silly girl, how could desserts fill your stomach? You always say that I don't care about my body, but what about you? That's right. Mother sent a chef to the Guan Yu Palace, and he should be here by now. You should go back to the palace and have a taste of this chef's cooking. The food he makes is very delicious. I'm sure you'll like it. And Mo Chuan suddenly thought of this. You're saying that the Empress Dowager sent you a chef? Chen Ning's eyes opened wide in surprise, feeling very surprised. Then she thought that it must be because Empress Dowager Zhou loved her son and was worried that the dishes made by the small kitchen in the Guan Yu Palace wouldn't suit her son's taste. So she sent the best chef over. She couldn't help saying with a faint smile, "The Empress Dowager is truly thoughtful. All right, then I'll go back to the palace and have a taste of this chef's cooking. What about you? Are you still going to stay here and study tonight?" And Mo Chuan took out the 2 military books from his sleeve and said with a smile, "These 2 books of yours are treasures, surpassing all of Chu Xiaoyang's military books. You've carefully written these military books. Naturally, I can't let you down. If I don't work hard and lose to Chu Xiaoyang, wouldn't I lose face for you? Relax, if I'm tired, I'll meditate for a bit. As long as I circulate my energy for a bit, I'll be full of energy. You're a lazy girl who doesn't want to cultivate. Do you know the benefits of internal energy now?" When Chen Ning heard the word cultivate, her head swelled up. She was afraid that Mo Chuan would force her to cultivate internal energy again. So she quickly said, all right. Then I'll go back first. Wait a bit. I'll call Xiao Si to send you back. No need. We're in the palace and there are so many secret guards protecting me. Are you still worried that something will happen? You should have more people by your side, just in case someone tries to assassinate you. Mo Chuan said, if there are assassins that dare to come, I'll catch one. If one comes, I'll catch 2. I'm just afraid they won't come. He raised his brows, and he was filled with confidence. Chen Ning couldn't help revealing a faint smile. She nodded and said, all right, then let Xiao Si come back with me. That girl, Xiao Ru, has been cooped up in the palace for the past few days, and I don't have time to take her out to play. I'll let Xiao Si chat with her and have some fun. You're really good to that girl, Xiao Ru. For a dumb girl like her to have a good master like you, it really is her good fortune from her previous life. Mo Chuan looked at her and said, it's because she treats me well. Putting myself in her shoes, I naturally have to treat her well. Moreover, the first person I saw when I opened my eyes was her. Everyone thought I was dead, and only she stayed by my bedside, crying until her eyes were swollen. She thought back to the first scene she saw when she transmigrated. It was a broken house with a wooden bed. It was cold and empty, and there was only Xiao Ru crying by her side. Chapter 1557. Chen Ning suddenly realized that she had spilled the beans. After calming herself down, she said, I'm talking about when I was in the King Ding Yuan Palace. I spat out blood and fainted after being poisoned. I thought I was going to die, but I didn't know how I woke up. The person who harmed you that day was Chun Baiyun, right? Mo Chuan suddenly slapped the table and knit his brows. I actually forgot about her. Although Chu Xiaoyang has run away, Chun Baiyun is still in his King Ding Yuan Palace, and she still has his flesh and blood in her stomach. If Chu Xiaoyang still has a bit of affection, he would not allow his woman and child to stay in West Chu. He would definitely send people to take them away. That's right, it must be like this. He loudly shouted, someone come. Xiao Si immediately answered from outside the door. Immediately send out my orders. Send the Imperial Army to protect the King Ding Yuan Palace. No one is allowed to enter or leave. Also, send a group of secret guards to keep an eye on Chun Baiyun for this one. If Chun Baiyun runs away, then bring their heads back to this one. Mo Chuan ordered in a sharp voice. Xiao Si's face slightly changed as he loudly replied, yes, I will obey your orders. Chen Ning gave a sigh in her heart as she secretly thought, If Chu Xiaoyang really cared about Chun Baiyun, he would not have left alone. Since he left, it means that he did not care about Chun Baiyun's life or the child in her stomach. Back at the spring banquet, Chu Xiaoyang could lie through his teeth and completely push away the responsibility of this child. This meant that in his heart, this child did not have a place at all. As for that Chun Baiyun, she had tried to scheme against her again and again. She just wanted to obtain Chu Xiaoyang and obtain the position of King Ding Yuan's princess, but what did she obtain in the end? She only had the flesh and blood Chu Xiaoyang had left in her stomach. If Chu Xiaoyang really rebelled, then she would immediately become a prisoner. The child in her stomach would no longer be King Ding Yuan's little heir and would become a sinner with her. Even if Mo Chuan spared their lives, it would be hard for them to escape the fate of being imprisoned for the rest of their lives. Using all her schemes and harming Qingqing's life, this was a true portrayal of Chun Baiyun. Thinking of this, she couldn't help sighing. She did not have any sympathy for this half-sister of hers because this was all her own doing. Coming out of the royal study, she sat on the sedan back to the palace with Xiao Si by her side. Chen Ning lifted the curtain and saw Xiao Si. She said in a strange voice, "Didn't the emperor tell you to do something? Why are you still here?" Xiao Si raised his hands and respectfully replied, "What the emperor has ordered, this servant has already sent down the decree. There will naturally be people to complete it. The emperor has ordered this servant to protect the empress. This is the most important matter in the emperor's heart." Chen Ning couldn't help smiling as she said, "Your mouth really knows how to talk. No wonder Xiao Ru is always so happy being coaxed by you. She keeps saying that she wants to hear your stories." Xiao Si stuck out his tongue. Once he mentioned Xiao Ru, his expression became lively. "This servant doesn't really know how to tell stories. I can only tell a few interesting things this servant has encountered. Miss Xiao Ru really likes listening to it. In this servant's heart, Xiao Ru is like this servant's little sister. If this servant's little sister was still here, she would be around Xiao Ru's age." Chen Ning said in a curious voice, "You have a little sister?" Chapter 1558. Then what happened after that? Where's your little sister now? Your parents and family? Chen Ning asked. She never knew Xiao Si's background. She had only heard Mo Chuan mention that he had entered the palace as a eunuch when he was young. This was the first time she had heard Xiao Si mention his family. This servant's parents are both dead. Xiao Si raised his head and revealed a sad expression. "When this servant was young, there was a drought in my hometown, so my parents brought me and my little sister away from home. We begged all the way to the capital city, wanting to rely on our relatives, but we couldn't take the hunger on the way, so we sold this servant's little sister to a family. Afterwards, my little sister's money was used up and my parents starved to death, leaving me alone. I followed a group of beggars to the capital city and heard that as long as I entered the palace, I would have food to eat and clothes to wear, so I entered the palace to become a eunuch. As expected, the days in the palace are much better than when I was a beggar. I have good food to eat, good clothes to wear, and I even met a good master like the emperor." Saying this, he raised his hand to wipe away the tears that had unknowingly fallen from his face. He suddenly realized something and said, "Look at this servant's mouth. What nonsense is this servant saying? How could this servant mention these old matters in front of the empress? This servant will not say it in the future, not even a single word." Chen Ning looked at his thin face and gave a soft sigh. Then she said in a gentle voice, "Xiao Si, I never thought that your background would be this pitiful. You are a lonely person, and Xiao Ru has lost her parents. She was sold to my family as a maid since she was young, but your backgrounds are very similar. You said that Xiao Ru is like your little sister, so you can treat her like your little sister in the future. When I'm not in the palace, you have to take care of her and talk to her. All right?" Xiao Si wiped his tears and said with a smile, "All right. This servant also likes to talk to Xiao Ru. What? Does the empress want to leave the palace?" He looked at Chen Ning with wide eyes. Chen Ning thought that this Xiao Si was very mischievous. She couldn't let him see anything and reveal it to Mo Chuan. She said with a faint smile, "I'm saying that in the future, The Emperor and I will have to leave the palace, and it won't be convenient to bring Xiaoru with us. At that time, you have to take care of her, all right? All right, this servant will definitely take good care of Xiaoru, just like my own little sister. Xiao Si straightforwardly agreed. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and put down the curtain. The group returned to the Guanyu Palace. Chen Ning got off the carriage and walked through the gates. Looking at the empty courtyard, she couldn't help feeling a little strange. It wasn't late yet, and it wasn't time to go to bed, but why were all the eunuchs and palace maids gone? Could it be that assassin from the Purple Heaven had come back? She thought of the river of blood that day, and her heart tightened. The first person she thought of was Xiaoru. God, Xiaoru was lucky enough to escape last time. He couldn't let anything happen to her this time. Xiaoru, she raised her voice and shouted. At the same time, she rushed over to Xiaoru's room. She was startled and couldn't help but laugh at herself for being overly suspicious. That assassin from Purple Heaven Pavilion had taken her bone-melting pill and lost all of his power. How could he possibly make a comeback? Chapter 1559. Chen Ning walked out of Xiaoru's room and saw Xiao Si guarding the door. He had a nervous look on his face as he asked, "Empress, what happened to Miss Xiaoru?" She smiled and shook her head as she said, "Xiaoru should be waiting in my room for me to come back. I'll go see that girl. She must have fallen asleep waiting for me. She didn't even hear me call her." Xiao Si relaxed and revealed a smile as he followed Chen Ning into the palace. Yeah, so beautiful. So beautiful. She's like a fairy descending to the mortal world. I've never seen such an enchanting beauty before. Me too. Although I'm a girl, I've also been enchanted by her. Before the two of them reached the palace, they saw a large group of maids and eunuchs surrounding the palace. They were all peeking in and giving out surprise praises at the same time. Chen Ning couldn't help smiling. No wonder she couldn't find anyone in the palace. They had all come here. But what were they doing in front of her palace? Could it be that a fairy had fallen from the heavens and landed right in her palace? Hey, what are you all doing here? This is the Emperor's palace. Seeing this, Xiao Si took a step forward and shouted at the top of his lungs. The palace maids all turned around. When they saw Chen Ning, their faces filled with panic as they knelt down on the ground. "Greetings to the Empress. We ask the Empress for forgiveness." Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and raised her hand. "Everyone, stand up. What are you all doing here? Is there something fun to see in my room?" Reporting to the Empress, it's a fairy-like beauty that came to our palace. A maid quickly replied. Chen Ning and Xiao Si were both stunned. A fairy-like beauty? Chen Ning's eyes revealed a look of interest. It was a woman's nature to like beautiful things. Even Chen Ning was not an exception. Her heart was filled with curiosity as she walked into the palace. She wanted to see just what kind of beautiful things this fairy-like beauty had. Xiao Si became suspicious and asked, "What fairy-like beauty? Where did it come from?" The maids replied, "It was someone sent by the Empress Dowager." When Xiao Si heard this, his suspicions disappeared. He was also curious as he followed behind Chen Ning. This is really strange. Why would the Empress Dowager send a beauty here for no reason? He muttered in a low voice. Chen Ning walked into the bedroom and saw that the room was brightly lit, as if it was daytime. At the same time, the fragrance of food wafted into her nose. "Young miss, you're back." Xiaoru heard the sound of footsteps and looked up to see Chen Ning. Her little face revealed a surprised and happy expression as she quickly came forward. But other than the table full of dishes, Ning, Chen-Ru, Xiao-Ru, Shi-Ru, and Chen Ning's face Ning, Chun Xiao, Chun, Ning, and Tian, Ru Xiao, Ning, Chun, and Ru Xiao, Chun, Shi Ning, Chen, 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 Chen. However, apart from the table full of dishes, there were no goddess-like beauties. Chun Yang, she looked over Xiao-Ru and saw that her round apple-shaped face was blushing. Her eyes were shining with excitement, making her eyes look dark and bright. She had grown a bit taller and had turned into a delicate and elegant little beauty. She had turned into a beautiful and slender little beauty. Chapter 1560. Young Miss, try this dragon well prawns. Is it good? Xiaoru eagerly helped her bring out the dish. The taste is light and sweet. It has the fragrance of the tea leaves and the sweetness of the prawns. It's very good. I can't see it, but Xiaoru's cooking skills have greatly improved. Ning ate a mouthful of prawns and pinched Xiaoru's red apple cheeks in praise. Xiaoru's face was filled with excitement as she helped her eat another dish. Young Miss, try this brown sugar cake. Not bad. It's crispy and fragrant. It's sweet but not greasy. Ning liked this kind of cake the most, so she ate 2 pieces in one go. Xiaoxi stood on the side, swallowing his saliva as he looked at the dishes on the table. When Ning saw this, she revealed a faint smile and said, Xiaoru, give these 2 dishes to Xiaoxi. Xiaoxi, you don't need to be so polite. You must be hungry after a long day, so you can eat them. Xiaoxi was filled with joy as he quickly went forward to receive them. He said, Many thanks to the Empress. In front of Ning, he did not dare sit on a chair, so he took the 2 dishes and sat on the doorstep. He began to eat in large mouthfuls, praising the food as he said, Delicious, too delicious. Xiaoru saw this, and her eyes turned into crescents. She poured a cup of tea for Xiaoxi. Xiaoxi, don't just eat, drink some tea. Be careful not to choke. Eat slowly. There's no need to rush. As long as you like it, you can eat it whenever you want in the future. Xiaoxi's mouth was filled with food, and his words were unclear. These dishes are really delicious. Xiaoru, your cooking skills are really good. Whoever marries you in the future will have a lifetime of good food to enjoy. Hey, who wants to marry someone? If you keep talking nonsense, I won't let you eat it in the future. Xiaoru's face couldn't help turning red. She spat at him and then turned back to serve Ning. Young Miss, do you like today's dishes? Her eyes sparkled as she asked. I like it a lot. But there's one bad thing. What's bad about it? The smile on Xiaoru's face instantly disappeared. Ning said with a smile, If you make this kind of delicious food for me every day, I'll become fat in a few days. That wouldn't be good. The emperor would not like a woman that's as fat as a pig, right? Xiaoru let out a sigh and patted her chest as she said, I've really scared the young miss. Does this mean that you like to eat this kind of food? Xiaoru nodded with a smile. That's great. If that's the case, then she can stay. Little Ru instantly smiled. What do you mean she can stay? Ning was confused hearing this. Xiaoru giggled. It's the chef who made these dishes. Young miss, you mean you agree to keep her, right? Xiaoru Chun. Chun Xiao Chun. Chun Xiao Chun. So you saying that these dishes weren't made by you, but by someone else? That's right, that's right. How can this servant's cooking compare to hers? She's the chef sent by the Empress Dowager. Eldest miss, don't you know? Ning suddenly remembered that Mo Chuan had mentioned this before. She revealed a faint smile and said, This chef's cooking skills are not bad, and she was sent by the Empress Dowager, so we can keep her. We'll have good food in the future. Chapter 1561. Qian Qian. Ning said with a smile, This chef's name sounds like a girl's name. Her words came to a stop. He saw a slim and graceful figure slowly walk out from behind the screen. She had a head of black hair, and although it was combed into a normal palace bun, each strand of hair was shining like black satin. Her head was slightly lowered, only revealing a smooth and beautiful chin. It was so small that anyone who saw it would feel a sense of pity. She was wearing the same palace maid's attire as Xiaoru. The palace dress that couldn't be any more ordinary was worn on her body, but perfectly outlined her graceful figure. Her slender waist was so slender that it required one to hold it in one hand. Every step she took was like she was walking on a lotus platform, like a weak willow in the wind, graceful and graceful. Although he had not seen her face, he could already tell that this was a beauty that could cause the downfall of a country. Xiaoxi's breathing stopped. His eyes and mouth were wide open, and his jaw almost dropped to the ground. With a quang dang sound, the plate in his hand fell to the ground, and he was covered in food. but he still stared at the beauty that was slowly walking out from behind the screen, not moving his eyes at all. When Xiao Ru saw this, she wanted to laugh, but she didn't know why, but her heart suddenly filled with anger. She couldn't help glaring at him. No wonder the young miss said that men were all lustful. Even a little eunuch like Xiao Si was no exception. Seeing this beauty that was like a goddess, his eyes almost popped out. Humph! Let's see if she still ignores him in the future. Chen Ning was stunned. She stared blankly at the beauty, walking over and then bowing down in front of her. Xiao Ru, this girl is the chef you're talking about? She asked in a voice filled with disbelief. For a beautiful girl like this, she could do anything. But why would she become a kitchen maid? That's right, young miss. Don't you think she's beautiful? Other than the young miss, this servant has never seen a beauty more beautiful than her. Not only is she beautiful, her cooking skills are also first class, and her name is very nice to hear. AI, it's a pity that there's just one bad thing about her. Xiaoru gave a sigh and revealed a look of regret. What's bad? Chen Ning asked in a curious voice. The girl named Qian was kneeling in front of her. Now that she was closer, she could see more clearly. The girl's head was half lowered. Her long and curly eyelashes fluttered like the wings of a butterfly. The skin on her chin was soft and tender, white and fine, like a piece of tofu. Even she couldn't help being amazed. This girl was truly beautiful. Young miss, this servant will tell you, but you can't look down on Qian, and you can't look down on her. She's good in every way. She doesn't know how to speak. Xiaoru said in a small voice, stuttering. What? Can't speak? Is she a mute? Xiao Si blurted out. He immediately felt a great sense of regret in his heart. The heavens were really too unfair. They had clearly created this fairy-like beauty, but they had given her such a flaw. The heavens really made fools of people. Xiaoru immediately glared at him and angrily said, She's not a mute. She just doesn't know how to speak. Xiao Si, if you say she's a mute again, I won't let Qian cook for you anymore. Chapter 1562. From the first time she saw Qian, she fell in love with this girl that was as beautiful as a dream and as soft as water. She especially had such good cooking skills. When she found out that Qian couldn't speak, she wished she could cut off her tongue and give it to Qian, as long as Qian could speak. But sometimes, she also felt that Qian didn't need to know how to speak at all. Her pair of beautiful and charming eyes turned, and she had already said what she wanted to say. She was captivated by Qian's eyes and only wanted to treat her well with all her heart. When Chen Ning heard that Qian couldn't speak, she felt the same as Xiao Si. She felt a kind of pity and regret. She looked down at Qian kneeling in front of her and said in a soft voice, You're called Qian? This name is very nice to hear. Xiao Ru said you couldn't speak, but can you hear me? Lift up your head and let me see. Qian lowered her head and her shoulders trembled, as if she was a little nervous. But very quickly, she slowly raised her head. Her eyes were still lowered, not daring to look at Chen Ning. As soon as she raised her head, everyone present felt their eyes light up. It was as if all the candles in the hall had exploded, or as if a bright moon had slowly risen, its clear radiance curling up in spirals. Yeah, she's really beautiful. Chen Ning praised in a soft voice. She rarely praised a girl like this, but when she saw Qian's face, she couldn't help but praise her. Xiao Si couldn't take his eyes off her, revealing an infatuated look. Xiao Ru couldn't help giving a snort. Although Qian was very beautiful, seeing Xiao Si staring at Qian like this, her heart was filled with an indescribable anger. Qian raised her long eyelashes and quickly looked at Chen Ning. Her eyes were filled with charm, especially those eyes that were slightly raised. It was filled with a bewitching feeling. She made a few hand gestures, and her 10 slender jade fingers were as beautiful as orchids. Xiao Si was stunned seeing this. He felt that from her hair to her feet, there was not a single part of her that wasn't beautiful. But what did she mean by making these hand gestures? He couldn't understand it at all. Chen Ning understood. Qian Qian was using sign language, which was no different from what she had learned in the modern era. You know sign language? That's good. It will be much easier to communicate in the future. Say, do you want to stay in my Guan Osprey Palace? Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and said in a warm voice. Qian Qian's expressive eyes looked at her for a moment. Then she lowered her eyes and nodded slightly. Qian eyes looked at her for a while before looking down and gently nodding her head. These were not the eyes of a person. These eyes were Qian. This Qian you. As if she, as a human, as Qian, as she wanted. Qian, as she, as this, as this, Qian, as you, Qian, you, as this. What do you want to say? Chen Ning looked at him and revealed a surprised look. Chapter 1563. Empress, this servant feels that this Miss Qian's dishes are not good at all. If the Empress is not satisfied with the Guan Osprey Palace's chefs, this servant can go find the best chef in the Imperial kitchen to cook for the Empress. As for this Miss Qian, we should send her back. Xiao Si bravely said. He was wholeheartedly supporting Chen Ning. He was secretly thinking that he had fallen head over heels for Qian's face. If the Emperor saw it, what would happen? Therefore, such a vixen could not be allowed to stay here. It would be better to send her away as soon as possible before the Emperor saw her. Who would have thought that after he said this, before Chen Ning could say anything, Xiao Ru had already jumped up in anger. You're speaking nonsense. You said that Qian's dishes are not good. Then why did you wolf it down and almost lick the plate? You're clearly lying. You want to send Qian away. What are your intentions? She pointed at Xiao Si's nose as she shouted. Xiao Si stared at her. He simply couldn't understand what Xiao Ru's head was made of. Was she really made of wood? Could it be that she couldn't tell that she was clearing the obstacles for her eldest young miss? He really wanted to grab a handful of grass and stuff Xiao Ru's mouth up. Miss Xiao Ru, whether Qian's dishes are good or not depends on the Empress' opinion. Let's just listen to the Empress' opinion. Xiao Si looked at Chen Ning. He believed that Chen Ning would be able to understand his hint just now. Xiao Ru fiercely rolled her eyes at him and said to Chen Ning, Young miss, you said that Qian's dishes are good, and you said you wanted her to stay. You won't go back on your word, right? Chen Ning did not look at Xiao Ru or Xiao Si. Her eyes fell onto Qian's face, and she said with a faint smile, Qian, what do you think? Do you want to stay in my Guan Osprey Palace, or do you want to return to the Empress Dowager's peaceful life palace? Qian revealed a determined look. She first made a gesture and then forcefully nodded. Chen Ning said, Oh, you want to stay, right? Qian forcefully nodded again. All right, since you're willing to stay, then you can stay. Xiao Ru, bring Qian down and arrange a place for her to stay. Then tell her the rules of the palace. All right, you can all leave. Xiao Ru was pleasantly surprised as she said, Young miss, you really agreed to let Qian stay? Since you like Qian this much, then treat her well. You can't bully her just because she can't speak. Do you understand? Chen Ning patted her head with a smile. How could I bully Qian? She's so beautiful, and I can't wait to like her. I'm not like a certain person who only knows how to say one thing and mean another. Humph. Xiao Ru said this, and then glared at Xiao Si. Lilfer was depressed. It was as if there was a big piece of cotton stuck in his chest. It was uncomfortable. Xiao Si could not help but feel. Xiao, could it be that the Emperor? Xiao Chun Qs Qian. She could that. Qian, I Qing, Li, Qian I, Q. I Xiao, QQ Li, Emperor King, Qian, said Qian, Qing, Chapter 1564. Miss Qian, come with me. Xiao Ru came forward and affectionately pulled Qian's hand, leading her out. Qian gently walked forward with a slender waist. After taking a few steps, she couldn't help looking back at Ning. Ning was also looking at her and giving her a gentle smile. Qian's face turned red and she looked down, following behind Xiaoru. Ning waited until Qian's figure disappeared into the night before slowly looking back. She raised a cup of tea to her lips and slowly sipped it, revealing a thoughtful expression on her face. Xiaoxi, if you have something to say, then say it. There are no outsiders here, she slowly said. Xiaoxi already had a scratching appearance as he impatiently said, Empress, this servant doesn't understand. Why are you keeping Qian in the Guanyu Palace? Ning looked up at him and said with a faint smile, You're not keeping her and letting her return to the peaceful life palace? Why can't I? The Empress can say that she doesn't like Qian's cooking, and the Empress Dowager can't force her into the Guanyu Palace. But I feel that Qian's cooking is very delicious, Ning said with a smile. Xiaoxi was so anxious that he began to sweat. Empress, this servant doesn't believe that you can't see that Qian is too beautiful, simply a beauty. This servant is worried that if the Emperor sees her, he might. He bit his lower lip twice, not daring to speak further. Might what? Xiaoxi, what are you saying behind this one's back? This one hasn't been here for a while, and you're already saying bad things about this one in front of the Empress. Do you not want her head anymore? Suddenly, Mo Chuan's voice came from outside the door. As his voice fell, his tall and straight figure appeared in front of them. Xiaoxi was so scared that his body trembled. He fell to the ground with a plop and began to kowtow. This servant doesn't dare. Even if this servant had 120 guts, I would definitely not say bad things about the Emperor. Empress, you have to say something fair for this servant, right? Ning stood up. Mo Chuan, didn't you want to stay in the royal study to read? Why did you come back? Don't blame Xiaoxi. If he said anything bad about you, pigs would be able to climb trees. Xiaoxi was filled with fear, but when he heard Ning's words, he almost burst out laughing. He quickly suppressed it, not daring to look up. Mo Chuan pulled Ning's hand, and his eyes fell onto the unfinished dishes on the table. I was worried that you wouldn't eat properly, but I never thought that the new chef would not only be good at cooking, his eyes would also be good. He had already prepared such a sumptuous meal. How about it? Are you satisfied with his cooking? Ning said with a faint smile. The chef sent by the Empress Dowager is truly extraordinary, making everything I like. I've already agreed to let her stay and have Xiaoru arrange a place for her to stay. Mo Chuan nodded and looked at Xiaoxi. Before this one came, what did you brats say to the Empress? I seem to have heard you mention this one. Are you worried that this one will see something? Mo Chuan Xiaoxi. Chuan Mo Chuan's face. Mo Chuan's Mo Chuan's Mo him Qian to Xian to Zhao's Cites. Xiao Qian Tian Si said, TT the QSXing Mo Xiao Si anxiously said, This servant doesn't dare. This servant doesn't dare. Then, tell the truth. Mo Chuan shouted in a deep voice. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.